Yeah, 6 o'clock. Yeah, this morning.
Yeah, I was kind of using that one too, because it was based on COVID and that sort of thing. So
Very good.
that was still in effect when in fact it was not.
Two weeks.
Local law.
It's the weather.
So
I'd like to welcome everybody to the meeting for 6 o'clock that, Mr. Chip Dukes wanted to discuss something, so we're ready for that now.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I had asked this to be put on the agenda and was pleasantly surprised that it is now a work session. I want to welcome everybody tonight. And just as a background, I'd asked for this item to be on the agenda back in October. We had a work session then. Wasn't enough room on the agenda for it, so it was moved to the November meeting where it came up, and I'm not going to go into those details. But we didn't get a vote on it, so I feel very strongly about an employee survey sponsored by the board. And when I say employee, I mean all employees, because we do surveys of the teachers here, and I'll explain that in a minute. So going back to November, it was stated that I was out of order on a particular on that particular motion. So I'm glad to see that it's back here at a work session. Why should we do a survey for our employees? There's a couple of reasons that I've looked up. There's lots of reasons. The first one I came up with was to provide ownership and give a voice to all employees, feedback from our employees who are experts in their jobs. Would be extremely valuable to us. We need to know what's working well, what's not working well. The survey informs decision-making. It allows for shared decision-making, which I think should be our philosophy in this district. When I came to this district, that was the leadership philosophy, shared philosophy, as opposed to, say, an autocratic style of leadership. Results will provide worksite conditions and needed resources, would be beneficial for decision-making during the budget process and goal setting for the district and board. It shifts budget conversations from assumptions to documented needs. That was one of the points I made several months ago, is I was hoping to get a survey out before the budget process, because we could get the results, use those results as a needs assessment, and it would help me, and I would hope it would help other board members to make good, accurate, solid decisions on data, as opposed to just kind of what we hear and what we feel in our assumptions. So, and thirdly, a survey builds trust and transparency and open communication, allowing for workers to freely express feelings and concerns. And I think this is key, that the survey must be anonymous and allow for open-ended responses. The surveys we generally get don't have any open-ended. Transparency shows that we value our employees. So I'd like our board members, last time I shared some data that I thought was valuable. I've got a couple of screenshots of 5 or 6 different school districts that, let me pass this down, Jeff. These are just kind of the landing page for some districts that I found that do a survey, and they are numerous. Districts have been doing this for years, all over the country, of course. But let me start and point out the first one, which is the Greenville County School. It's two-sided, so if you're looking at the Greenville County, this is the email that actually went to all Greenville County School District staff. They have 10,000 employees. They can do 10,000 employees. I think we can do what we have. And I'm not going to read everything here, but I will hit the high points, which I've highlighted in yellow. So this is the email that went out early prior to a survey in Greenville County from their superintendent. And it says, as a district, we continually want to know how we're doing as an organization and what next steps we can take to best serve those working alongside us. So right there, just very positive. And I know the superintendent sends out emails similar. She wants to build a team here. We all want to build a team. We want to respect and honor our team. Then a couple of sentences down, they use a third-party company to collect the data and to do the survey, which I think is important. They call it a culture survey. They're trying to gauge the climate and the culture of Greenville County. And earlier they had done, or in prior years, I guess they'd done just teachers, and I would guess they got feedback. Because this year, in addition to teachers, it says we are sending a survey to all non-teaching school-based staff and all department staff because we want to ensure we hear from and build a culture for all staff. Then it goes on in the second paragraph, the yellow thoughtful responses are one of the most powerful tools we have in improving your work environment and job satisfaction. Results go directly to Upbeat, that's the vendor, third-party vendor, where they are analyzed, compiled, and presented anonymously to school leaders and district leadership teams. So you'll see as I go through a couple of these examples, kind of a theme. The next one is from Jefferson County Public Schools, Louisville, Kentucky, a huge district. This is just a reminder for staff to do the anonymous. They want their anonymous feedback, so it's all they emphasize. It's anonymous. On the next page, or flip the page, Pinellas County, Florida, another large district. They call theirs an employee voice survey. Your voice matters. And of course, they do it, it's anonymous and biennial. It's twice a year employee survey. Then Seminole County, Florida, also a large district. It's an employee survey that's for everybody. It says Seminole County values the voice of our employees. All district employees take that. And those three bullets highlighted at the bottom, you can see it covers all their staff. It's a teacher survey, which is separate from their school staff survey, which is separate from district-based staff survey. And then the final example I give here is, it's not a school system, but it's the Texas Association of School Boards, where you could go, if you were in Texas, go there, and if you were interested as a school district, I'm sure they would help you do that, much like we do that with our policies. We get help from our school board association with that. So this is, again, a very common thing, something that we've not done from the board, and I was in the district for many, many years. Don't remember the board ever sponsoring one, but the purpose of the board doing that is, number one, I think all board members, I think I would speak for everybody, values all of our employees, and we want to hear their voice. So the question is, does District 5 already conduct surveys? And the answer is yes. And over the years, we've given, past couple of years, we've given 2 surveys. Both of the surveys leave out non-certified staff such as bus drivers, cafeteria workers, teacher assistants, secretaries, nurses, and custodial staff. And one survey leaves out administrators and district office staff. They leave out all the ones I listed, plus leaves out the administrators and district office staff. And that just limits the complete picture, getting a complete picture of the district. So, and these are critical employees, very important, essential employees that we ought to be hearing from. So let me give you a brief description of the 2 surveys that we have given. The first one is the South Carolina School Climate Survey. We do this every year at this time of the year, and that's being given right now. Our staff have that in hand, and I don't know what their deadline is, but it's to be completed soon. It goes to certified teachers, parents, and students, okay? That's the one that leaves out all the bus drivers, cafeteria workers, teacher assistants, et cetera, and leaves out our district administrators and school administrators. Now, last year and the year before last, am I correct on the working conditions? 2 years, right? The State Department sent out I'll just call it kind of a special survey. It was really initiated by the legislature, and they funded it because of the chronic lack of teachers and ability to recruit and retain teachers across the state and country. Kind of wanted to find out the pulse of the state, so the state did a special survey. They called it the State Department Working Conditions Survey. That's the survey that the superintendent went over some of the data back in November. She gave us a copy of the entire results, but I've learned that that has been discontinued. So it's by the State Department, not by us, and won't be given this year, correct, or in future years. So it was kind of it was a task force involved, and it was a special focus, so that's over and done. So let me go back to the School Climate Survey, the one that's been given for years, at least probably 15 to 20 years. And why not use that survey and just use that data as opposed to one from the school board or sponsored by the school board, or one that we create? So as mentioned, this survey is for certified staff, not administrators or district office. It leaves out over half of our employees, which are critical voices. Questions are very broad. For example, many questions are asked like this. Here's a question from the survey to a teacher, and when I say teacher, I'm talking about classroom teachers, librarians, art, music, PE, guidance counselors, people like that. Those are all certified teachers. So the question is, I'm satisfied with my current working conditions. Okay, it's a very broad and very big category. And here are the answers that could be given. Agree, mostly agree, disagree, mostly disagree, or no answer. So if a teacher answers they agree, we really don't know by that answer what good thing is going on in that school that satisfied that teacher or good things. If a teacher disagrees, we don't know what the school is doing or not doing that has gotten that answer. So in other words, the survey offers very little actionable information, and teachers aren't able to provide specific written responses. There's no open-ended questions on the survey. So that limits the usefulness of the results. So with today's technology, collecting and analyzing open-ended feedback can be done in literally seconds. It's amazing, making it much easier to offer those kinds of answers and easier to aggregate the data and identify patterns and trends. But lastly, one of the primary reasons, and this is an example and why I've emphasized things being anonymous, using the South Carolina school teacher climate, it's open to being controlled and manipulated, which invalidates results. And let me give you an example of what's happened recently. Well, first let me say, kind of give you an example of, or tell you how things transpire with this survey. The State Department will send us the link, or they give us the link, but we get access from the State Department to the link for this survey. Then this district will push it out to the schools. At least that's how it was done in the past. Tell me if I'm wrong, but the district will push it out to the schools, and generally that site administrator then is responsible for sending it out to their certified staff, and with the explanation and the directions and all that sort of thing. So then once the teachers get it, or the certified staff gets it, that's intended to be anonymous, completed individually and confidentially by each certified staff member with a comfortable time window to complete the survey. So this allows these staff members to be thoughtful, accurate, and honest in their answers. However, there was a site in our, and I'm not going to call anybody out specifically, but a site in our district that conducted the survey in this manner. And allegedly, I'll say that first, a directive was given first to teachers that no negative responses should be marked on the survey. Okay, then the survey was conducted in a rushed fashion at the beginning of a group meeting. I guess it was maybe a faculty meeting, where there was a guest speaker scheduled to speak. So that was going to happen after the survey was completed. So everybody was in a group to do that. All certified staff were asked to complete the survey during a very short time frame, and I'll remind you that there are 75 or more questions on this survey, so it's a lot to comprehend, a lot to go through. So a survey that was intended to be confidential, independent, self-paced, was turned into a rush survey. It was done in a semi-confidential setting with a time constraint and a directive on how not to answer the questions. Now this, for District 5, is not how a survey should be given. And it's not any survey that you get from, whether it's Chick-fil-A or whether it's whatever, you know, your car dealership, you're going to get inundated. Go visit somewhere, you're going to get an opportunity generally to reply to a survey. And they're all, you know how they're supposed to be done, and that is not the spirit of a survey. So, you know, when a survey is given in the manner I just explained, what are the consequences? Well, number one, that data is going to be flawed. It's going to be skewed. It creates a controlled work environment, limiting true voices of the employees. It hinders decision-making in the school. It increases resentment. It decreases trust, creates a false image of the site's environment, and it's unfair to other sites who've done it appropriately. So all of these consequences can create a chilled work climate, which can lead to people leaving the district and will never know why. And when they leave, word spreads. Trust me, teachers talk. I honestly heard a situation where a teacher left here, this is many years ago, was a teacher of the year to another district, and actually emailed people back and said, yeah, the grass is greener, and that's not the kind of thing we want happen. So we don't want an environment that is not honoring to our teachers and that they can't trust us to give a survey correctly. So consequently, it leads to retention problems and recruitment problems. So, I mean, if this were a teacher giving a state assessment and that teacher told the students how to answer a question, then we'd actually have SLED knocking on our door, and that teacher could possibly be dismissed. It's a serious thing. So this is a State Department survey. So, Madam Chair, I've just brought this idea of a school, of a school survey or employee survey sponsored by the board to the board for their thoughtful consideration. Since it's a work session, there's going to be no vote tonight, but I'd like to request that this be an action item on next month's agenda. Give everybody time to do a little research, think it over. If this is what we would like to do, I think it would send a good message to our employees. It would be in collaboration with the administration. I mean, we'd be working together. I certainly don't have all the details. There's a lot of off-the-shelf surveys. There's a lot of companies that do surveys. There's a lot of states that do surveys. They're all over the place, so it should not be that difficult to do. But this would not just be for teachers, but for all employees in all categories. We got the budget coming up. I've talked to the superintendent. She was thinking the fall of next year. That was exactly when I was thinking. I don't know, maybe between Thanksgiving and Christmas could be our target date. Is that what you were thinking? And that would give us time to get the data back. It could become a needs assessment. It would give us information heading into next year's budget cycle or budget deliberations. And I think it would give us some good hard data that we could base our budget on. So, Madam Chair, I appreciate the opportunity to share this in a little bit longer format tonight. Take questions. I don't know if I have a lot of answers in terms of getting down into the weeds of the logistics and how we would do it, but that's the concept.
Well, that's a real concept that I just do not understand. And then the 5 things that you just raised.
This would refer to this. He hasn't raised this yet. This is a different issue.
Oh, okay. Well, what you just said, my understanding, and I need to get an understanding of it. Are you asking us to have some type of data where we talk to the teacher, to the whole, to everybody that's hired in the district?
This is a survey that would just go to every employee, give them an opportunity to answer questions that we would approve, the administration would approve, and to get their feedback on basically working conditions, climate, their resources.
And then you said one time that we haven't done this before.
We're doing it right now, but it's just for certified staff, just for certified staff. And we did one a couple of years ago, and last year and the year before, but that one was discontinued by the state.
Oh, okay.
Ms. Leverett, can I?
Sure,
add
please
something?
do.
So, thank you. All right, so looking at, I just collected some information, Mr. Dukes, and you're talking about data, and it was collected, and we've collected data while it's not been on a survey. I have met with individual groups. I have scheduled for the rest of April. I will be at every school, meeting with folks before school and during school to get data. I appreciate data. I like data, but I like root cause data. Sometimes a survey gives you symptoms, right? Sometimes gives you what people are feeling, but rather than getting to the root cause. So for me personally, I like talking with folks. I like calling folks on the phone. I like meeting with folks. I like going out, and I know the only piece of what I'm doing that doesn't match what you delivered is the anonymous piece. That's the only piece, but I go to them. I've met with our bus drivers. I dedicated 3 days, and I said, come if you want to come, don't come if you don't want to come. Some came as a group, which was great. Some came individually. We filled up all 3 days. I do the educator exchange where I meet with folks one-on-one. Schools send a representative, and numerous times the teachers have worked with their faculty and staff to gain questions to ask me during that time. And again, like I said, coming up for, it actually starts next Thursday all the way until May. I'm at a school, talking with everybody, culinary, custodians, teachers, teaching assistants, to gain that perspective from a true conversation. So that would be my only piece about the survey, is the survey oftentimes, as you know, it gives you symptoms. If someone's worried about a situation, they tell you they're worried. Now, the open-ended, that's a great thing. I'm getting the open-ended through the conversations, but that is a great thing. I appreciate that part of it. The other thing that I noticed, that the couple of things, the examples that you gave us were very, very large districts. I mean, Greenville has 74,000 children, Jefferson County has 96,000 children, Pinellas has 97,000 children, and Seminole has 67,000 children. So that's a much larger scale of a campus to try to gain those root cause understandings, whereas we're around 11.8.
And
So,
I
so
guess my
you're
point
right.
there is, if they can do it, we can do it.
And I agree with that, I agree with
Right.
that, but I think, and I haven't talked with these folks, they probably do it because they can't do what I'm doing, right? Like, you can't get to every school in a timely fashion to talk with folks. That piece of it, and then the other piece, when were you made aware of the survey concern? Because this is the first I've heard of it.
Within this month.
Okay, so it was within this month, okay.
Survey
And I was
concerns
asked,
of.
that's a
of-
confidential, relate to me confidentially, and that's as far as I can go with it, so.
Okay.
Mhm.
I just know that oftentimes you all are wonderful about when a concern is raised to you, you bring it to me so that I can at least try to address it.
Right.
So that, I just was curious when that occurred. And then, when was the date of the teacher of the year that left our district? Was that
That's
during
been-
my tenure?
No, 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 I said
okay.
many years ago.
Not during my tenure,
Yeah.
okay. Because I did want to, and I really have tried to work to build trust with folks.
Right.
And I tell folks, there are gonna be times that I have to say no, right?
Sure.
I don't wanna say no, that is not my mentality. I wanna say yes as much as I can. And so when you talked about the style of the district's autocrat, is that what you're talking?
No, no, I said.
With my tenure?
No, 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 and that's not the way I put it.
Okay,
If I
okay.
did, I apologize. What I'm saying is, a survey that's anonymous and open-ended would lead to, or could be used in a shared leadership philosophy.
I agree with you
Shared meaning
100%.
teachers
Yes.
and staff, generally teachers and principal, building principal, and that's who's got to share the responsibility at each site.
Okay.
I mean, we're a sum of the parts,
Right,
you
I
know,
agree.
and so it
Yes.
goes, and I commend you for getting into the schools. You just, like I said back in November, you can't see everybody, but you're
That's true.
trying.
I am trying.
You're
I
trying.
am trying, because I want
So-
them to know their value.
Absolutely.
Right, when you give people time, they know, oh, you actually took time to come talk to me. And so that's what I'm trying to do, is visit schools, talk to people. And I love what you talked about when you said the surveys, what's working, what's not. Well, that's the format I've used since I started day one. When I have my meetings, I say, okay, what's going well in the district? What are we doing great? But then what is not going well, and what do we need to fix? So the survey lines up exactly with what I'm doing as well. It's just, I wanted to make sure, there was just a few things there I wanted to make sure that you weren't hearing something that I maybe was missing.
That was just that one example, which
Okay,
was
okay.
a little upsetting. It
Oh, I'm
upset me.
sure, definitely.
So, because if it's done one way here and a different way over here, and I don't recall from that State Department survey, I mean, it's not like test security and test protocols. It's, here it is, here's the link, this is the people who do it,
Yeah.
you have this much time to get it done. So, but,
Yeah, okay.
I'll go back to, we've had conversations about Robert Anderson and perceptions, and that's, I had a perception, like you're saying, and what I brought up is, what's the root cause of these perceptions?
right.
And I went in, and what my eyes saw was not what I had been hearing, but that's all anecdotal, and you're getting anecdotal information, which is great.
Yeah.
But I think being able to survey the entire staff, all staff, which I don't know if we've ever done that, because we always, I don't recall doing it. So I think that would be helpful. I think just as a board member, because that's not been done, and I'd love for this board to sponsor it, and that way, we almost look like a third party, and I'd love for us, that would be the strategies, to get a third party.
I agree.
I'm seeing that over and over again, and hearing that from people. After it came up in November, it was Parts of that was posted online, lots of comments, and I've heard from a lot of teachers and a lot of staff that would like to have a survey, not to air out. And it's, you're gonna have outliers. You're gonna have people, a decision was made they might not like. They're not gonna be happy when that survey comes out, and it's not gonna be great. Others, it's gonna be the other end. So, we're looking at what does the trend say in the middle? What are we hearing mostly from our people? And can we see any trends? And like I said, we are a sum of our parts, and those are schools. And what goes on in those schools I've always said that personalities of schools mirror the personality of that principal and the leadership style. So, let's be able to dig in and get to the root causes, both good and bad, if they're there.
That's right.
So,
But I appreciate and thank you all, I mean that, thank you so much for, when you hear concerns, you share those with me so that then I can, work to address those.
And thank you, and I hope that this helped you, because it did not help me. Go ahead.
I know we're limited on time, make 4 quick points. I would say as part of the board's legal role in overseeing the conditions in the district, a board-sponsored survey is necessary. The second point would be, because current policy is very restrictive regarding board staff communications, and unduly so, in my opinion, a board-sponsored survey is necessary and would be in line with policy BHC, which says that the board and the staff will maintain open lines of communication. And because we are responsible for the community's children, and we are acting in loco parentis with those children in our role as educators and as caretakers of the community children, it is imperative we have an open line of communication, such as a board-sponsored survey. And I would say that the superintendent has the authority under the policy to go out and talk to people. I don't have that sort of authority, so a board-sponsored survey once a year or something like that is probably not even enough, but certainly one is necessary. So just wanted to add that.
Thank you for adding that. That's helping me to, go ahead, Sister Bird, Ms. Burris.
I like the board-sponsored survey as well, and our teachers are so important to us and to the children. I would love to see the feedback, and more than a yes/no, right? You said
Oh,
it could
absolutely.
be more,
Yeah.
but yes, that would be wonderful.
That would be fine. My only on whatever of it is the cost, because you've already said it's gonna be a cost.
it would be.
Yeah, it's gonna be a cost. And then the other part of it, after we do the survey, will we be able to help to satisfy that person that is upset about something? Like you have somebody that's upset about something, or what we gonna be able to do for them, or what would we be able to do with this survey after we do it?
The key to the survey, in my opinion, is it being anonymous for us to get honest feedback, so that we wouldn't be able to drill down into an individual level and solve a problem. That's something that somebody'd have to come to you or the superintendent directly for that. So what we're looking for in survey results are trends, commonalities, things like that.
So it would take further study, Ms. Levitt. So if if the data were to show something that probably need to be addressed, then you'd have to pull a task team together or task force together to identify and work with folks from each school to see if that is an issue and what we need to do about it. So it would not give you instant root cause. You'd have to do a root cause analysis of that.
No, okay. It's just, I mean, to me, it would be fine to do it, but I just can't see what we're gonna do with it after we get it done. Or will we be able to satisfy whoever is upset about whatever, and then you're saying that we need to go ahead and do this survey, which would be fine. I mean, fine with me. I'm not against it at all. I just wanna know, once we get it done, how would it work? But I guess we can work with that in the next months or so.
Oh, absolutely, and it would be great for our planning, budget. I've already mentioned the budget, but just strong, long-term planning. I'm gonna give you an example. Let's say teacher assistants are supposed to have, help me, Madam Superintendent, how many minutes do they get per hour of relief, or
No.
You know what I'm saying? How much time does a teacher assistant get during the day unencumbered?
A teaching assistant.
Teaching assistant. I know
It's
that-
15 in the morning and 15 in the afternoon.
Okay, so let's say that was,
But now, the teacher, is 30 by law.
right,
Yes.
right. And if we had a question that maybe related to that, and you saw at one particular school that they were saying, we're not getting hours. We're just not getting hours. So that'd be something, that we could easily look into. And you just figure out scheduling and that sort of thing.
But
So-
even if we had one person to come to us right now with that and said, I'm just not getting this time, we could still work with that also.
Oh, absolutely, and, the superintendent would want to hear that, and then I'm sure she would inquire, is this just that one person, or is this more than one person? Do we have a systemic problem or an individual problem?
Okay,
So,
okay, thank you for that, and we will put it in our minds and hearts to do something about that.
Meeting adjourned.
Okay. Good afternoon. We're glad that you're here with us. We're going to get ready to start with our regular meeting, March 17th school board meeting. The meeting of School District 5 will please come to order.
This is gonna pertain, he wanted to raise the points on the letter about that previous one. And so this was my PS5 points order here. We should raise one reasons. That's, I'll pass those.
Drink out of a garden hose.
Oh, okay. We've
You can
called
tell
to
us then.
order. We'll have invocation by Mr., I got your name down, I told you, Mr. Troy Haywood. I cannot think of anybody's name. I can see your face, but I can't think of your name.
She giving us a list?
Dear Lord, just want to come to you today, Lord, just to thank you for your goodness, your grace, and your mercy. We just want to thank you most of all for giving us a Savior, Lord, to die on the cross for us, Lord. I pray right now for the Mr. Galloway's family, Lord, and the Kidd family, Lord. We want to lift up these two families to you, Lord. Ask you just to go down, reach your arms around them, Lord, just give them the comfort and peace, Lord, and give them the strength to face these difficult days ahead of them, Lord. And we're just gonna trust that you're gonna do that for them, Lord. Lord, we ask you right now, just be with our schools, Lord, just put a hedge of protection around them, Lord. Just be with all the kids, Lord, that's there, and the staff, Lord. And pray just keep them from evil, Lord, and thank you for watching after them, Lord. I ask you just to be with us right now in this meeting, Lord. Just help us to come together, Lord. Just make these decisions, Lord, that would be best for our students, Lord, and be good for the taxpayers as well, Lord. And we pray right now, Lord, just bless each and every person that's represented here tonight, Lord. Just touch each one of them. We'll just give you the praise, honor, and glory for all that you do. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So now's the approval agenda, so you
No, she can't.
can ask if there's any.
Could we get approval of the agenda?
Is there, ask if there's any objection to approving the agenda as distributed?
Is it any objection to approving the agenda as distributed?
Make a motion, we approve the agenda as distributed, Madam Chair.
Second.
Okay, it's proven in second. Could I get a show of hands? So it's unanimous.
Those opposed?
Those opposed?
There was no opposed.
No opposes, so
Agenda's
it's
adopted.
unanimous. Now, recognition of excellence from our superintendent.
Yes, ma'am. Madam Chair, it is absolutely my pleasure to present the Advanced Chamber Chorus from Southwood Academy of the Arts. Most recently, the Advanced Chamber Chorus was selected by the South Carolina School Board Association and delivered an outstanding performance of 3 songs at the 2026 South Carolina School Board Association Annual Conference, where they received not one, but 3 standing ovations. They are here tonight to share their talent under the direction of Mr. Wilson Hatcher. And students, thank you so much for sharing your talents with us this evening. Now, I'm
Yeah.
going to walk around so that I can see them from the front.
I think I will too.
Thank y'all so much for having me. We really appreciate it. Thank you so much. So the piece that we are going to be singing for you tonight is actually one of the 2 pieces that we'll be taking to concert performance assessment this Friday. This is an arrangement of a spiritual called Soon I Will Be Done. Thank you so much to Dr. Kelly and to the ASD5 board for allowing us to take part tonight. Kind of breath, I don't know. But it's a wonderful ensemble, but we can only do what we do because of your and all of your support. So thank you so very much.
just so you know, what my comment on that was, well, no, what, no, I was just saying, what I told her was, make sure. Which one, you should raise all the hands.
Oh, yeah. I said y'all should do that.
And then there's each of those things, discussion as to why.
Congratulations, y'all. Good job.
Well, that's what you feel it is. No, it's one item, which is, in my opinion, which is that it's.
Good job this way, I didn't get to say it. Good job, good job.
What you're, but you don't want 5 votes.
All the time.
Oh, sorry. Sure.
Mr. Thompson, I think you'll have to come in the front.
Yes, ma'am, I can. I can, believe it or not, but if the board members just wanna, if we could take a couple of board members over here, please.
Great job, guys. We are so proud of
So, she make a decision, but if I appeal that, it would be to the board,
Yeah, you would appeal her decision.
to the board.
Yes, and that way you don't make it's basically saying, I'm appealing it to you.
I got you.
Y'all need to know, the audience, that these are such dedicated students that many of them took off from their job.
Oh,
So,
thank y'all.
All right. Thank you so much.
The reason it's what we did.
Gotcha.
His question is, it was a matter of if he weighs a whole board. He's determined that there's multiple principals. And so he can weigh one from the board. And then he can make whatever number preference he wants. So there's just, they're only separate.
That was good. The last time we saw them, the superintendent and I both were crying. But we're so proud of them. Okay, now we're down to the opportunity for citizens to address the board. And we have like 6 tonight. So the first one, that signed up was Cynthia.
That is a hard act to follow. Wow, that was amazing. Good evening. Again, as you know, my name is Cynthia Wanzer. For the past 3 years, I've served as the elementary STEM teacher at Nevitt Forest. And for the last year, I've attended and advocated at almost every board meeting. I'd like to begin by sharing an update that you may or may not be aware of. Due to budget constraints, my position as the district's only full-time elementary STEM teacher has been eliminated. Before I say anything else, I want to sincerely thank my principal and our Human Resources Department for the professionalism, kindness they have shown me during this process. I understand that budget constraints require difficult decisions, and I truly appreciate how respectfully I've been treated. At the same time, I would be dishonest if I did not share my sadness and my concern. For the past 3 years, I've had the privilege of working with our students at Nevitt through hands-on STEM learning. Students are not just simply learning science facts. They're learning how to think critically, solve problems, collaborate with others, and persevere when something doesn't work the first time. They learn that failure is part of the process and that improvement comes through creativity, persistence, and teamwork. These are the exact skills that employers, universities, and even our own state standards say students need in order to be successful in the future. My concern tonight is not simply the loss of my position. It is what the loss of this position represents for our students. At this time, eliminating this role And additionally, the roles of our digital instructional specialists effectively removes dedicated elementary STEM instruction from our district. I understand budgets require difficult choices, but I hope as this district continues planning for the future, you carefully consider the long-term impact of reducing or eliminating opportunities for hands-on STEM learning at the elementary level. Over the past 3 years, I've seen firsthand the excitement and confidence our students gain when they're given the chance to build, test, redesign. When they hold a cow's eyeball or a sheep's brain in their hand and exclaim that they want to be a surgeon, or they write a code for a drone that gets stuck on the ceiling of the gym, and they remember how to do an emergency landing, troubleshoot the code, make the changes, and the drone successfully completes the flight plan autonomously. Those experiences matter. Because when we remove opportunities for students to explore STEM early, we're not just cutting a program. We are limiting possibilities for the future scientists, engineers, and innovators sitting in our elementary classrooms today. Later this week, Thursday night, my school's having a STEM night. I would love to see y'all there. Thank you.
Okay, next one is Jonathan Hooper.
Thank you, Madam Chair and Board. You know, it's a sad sight to see my teacher comes up here and is having to say her goodbyes for a position being eliminated for something that's well needed across the district. Also, I'm aware that there was decisions made just, you know, not necessarily personally to her, but because of other budget reasons, things had to be moved around, the hard decisions had to be made, and so that's kind of why I'm here to talk to y'all tonight. All of y'all, I sent y'all an email today. I have some copies as well as a resolution. This is really a chance for y'all to unify together. No, not all y'all agree on a lot of things, and it's very apparent to us and every citizen in the district. But what we would ask is, county council is coming up for election. And we know that Act 388 hurt us, we know ITA hurts us, we know there's a lot of financial strain that's being put on the district from mandatory teacher raises, you name it, everything's getting put on the district, but no funding's coming with it. And so what I'm asking is, tonight I know you can't change the agenda, so I'm aware of that. Maybe you talk about this in executive session, but look at the resolution that I sent you. Basically what it's asking is you as a board come together and put out a resolution, an official word from each of you saying to the county council, you know, all these feedlot agreements, they're actually voting on more tonight. As we speak, there's more getting voted on tonight of more money going to more companies across the county that already have their taxes cut. So ask that they remove District 5 out of these feedlot agreements. We want to be removed from these abatements. We need those tax levies back. Also, impact fees. I've spoken to several of y'all. I know that you've talked about impact fees, and I know you've talked about the other things that I'm discussing around feedlot agreements, but please bring that back up. If we can somehow charge impact fees on new residential development based on the per pupil and single family household, we could raise millions in revenues that we're not getting today. You think about where Midway and Crestview is over 600 homes getting built right now, and if we would have charged those developers, Fontaine and other developers, a per pupil cost for every single one of those single homes based on the bedroom size. I mean, that's every 500 homes, or every 100 homes, you're talking about, that's almost $1 million impact fees. And we would not be the first district to do this. There are several districts across the state that are doing impact fees, that are requiring that the superintendent and yourselves be a part of these feedlot agreements, that the school district gets their money back. So I'm asking all of y'all this because before we start going down the route of bonds, before we start splitting the community up with all this talk of building schools, before we create more divide, put it back on county council, because they need the help. They need to make the decision. Thank y'all.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, brother.
Thank you.
Impact fees are zone specific.
Veronica Weidman. Oh, okay, okay.
You can come speak anyway.
David Blandon. Same thing, okay. Courtney, did you follow the leader? Courtney Goldsmith.
Courtney is the leader.
Good evening to the board members, Dr. Kelly, district office staff, A5 employees, citizens, and guests. Being a part of the RAM fam at Robert Anderson Middle School over the past 4 years has been extremely rewarding. Our teachers and staff are working hard to build a supportive school culture and motivate students. The RAMS raffle recognizes students for positive behavior, effort, and engagement. Programs like these help build relationships, encourage positive choices, and create a strong sense of community within the building. Our performing arts and visual arts program is continuing to excel, and our athletics program is thriving. In his first year as principal, Mr. Noble is dedicated to our school, the staff, and most importantly, the students. It is very evident that the staff at RAMS are deeply committed to supporting students and creating opportunities for them to succeed. I appreciate the work the district and board are doing as you consider decisions about facilities, capacity, and how our schools can best serve students. I would like to share a perspective focused specifically on RAMS and the needs we are seeing within our building. In recent discussions, it has been mentioned that the building has the capacity to hold around 1,300 students. While that may reflect the physical capacity of the building, it does not always reflect the level of staffing, services, and support that are needed to effectively serve the students who attend school there. Our district often emphasizes the importance of equity. Equity means ensuring that resources and supports are aligned with the specific needs of the students in each building. As our student population grows and the needs of our students become more complex, it is important that the level of support within the building grow as well. At RAMS, we currently have 2 self-contained classrooms. One of those classrooms serves students in the ED program, and the other classroom is already at capacity. Based on the needs we are seeing in the building, there is a clear need for an additional self-contained classroom so that students who require that level of support can receive the services they need in an appropriate setting. We are also seeing increasing needs for academic intervention. With the number of students in the building, having additional intervention support would allow us to better meet students where they are and provides a targeted instruction that helps them succeed. As conversations continue about capacity and facilities, I hope that student support needs remain part of the discussion. Capacity should not only reflect how many students a building can hold, but also whether the building has the resources and staff necessary to support those students effectively. At the end of the day, our goal is simple. Every student deserves not just a seat in the classroom, but the support they need to truly succeed. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is it Melanie? I don't know the last name. The policy for BEDH for addressing the folks, addressing the board, you put that you were not from District 5.
I don't live in District 5, but I have a list of over 50 District 5 residents who have petitioned me to start a program in District 5, and that's what I wanted to talk with you about.
It's up to you. It's not really a procedural issue, so it's your judgment.
Go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
So my name is Melanie Stixma. I'm a program director for LifeWise Academy. LifeWise is a release time religious instruction program serving schools in 36 states, including South Carolina. And I'm here today to ask you to amend policy JHCBR to include elementary students. The policy currently specifies middle and high school students, but removing that limitation would allow parents to choose release time religious instruction for their younger children if they consider it best. I've brought some packets of information for you to consider on the issue. In this packet, you'll see a list of over 50 people who have petitioned LifeWise to start a release time program in District 5 at the elementary level. There's also an independent study showing that schools with LifeWise programs have increased attendance rates and decreased suspension rates. So while some may be concerned about students leaving school for release time, these schools actually are seeing higher attendance overall. I've also included examples of release time schedules at other schools, so you can see there are many ways that schools are able to fit release time into their schedules. Of course, this wouldn't be any kind of endorsement of LifeWise, but changing the policy would allow us and other programs to work on providing this type of program for elementary families if they desire it. So thank you for your consideration. And I'll just leave you guys a few packets with those things.
Thank you, Melanie.
Thank you.
Can we get copies of these?
I'm sorry?
Can we get copies of
If
these?
you leave one with me, I'll get Miss Wright to make copies for you.
Yeah, it's all different.
Okay. The superintendent's report.
Yes, ma'am. Madam Chair, tonight we are pleased to welcome Dr. Estes from the Anderson Institute of Technology. The Anderson Institute of Technology provides students with hands-on learning opportunities and career-focused programs that prepare them for success in college, careers, and the workforce. Dr. Estes will share more about the exciting opportunities and impact of the Anderson Institute of Technology. So thank you, Dr. Estes, for coming.
Thank you. Madam Chair, Dr. Kelly, board members, thank you for the opportunity to speak on my second favorite subject. Granddaughters are first, sorry.
Yeah.
I want to just give you some updates about the Anderson Institute of Technology. Again, thank you. So if we have some updates for the current year, safety, which is numero uno priority for us always. We were able.
Can we get them on our screen?
Oh,
Can we get them on our screens too?
They're not on the screen.
There, thank you.
Nope, that's ours.
They ain't got there yet.
Sorry, you thought those TVs were plenty big enough when they were put in. They're not
I
even
can't see.
close. They're
Fuzzy.
close.
There we go, thank you. Oops. Thank you.
okay. Again, safety is a priority for us at AIT as it is with our district, all three districts. So radios, we were able to secure radios through the Mr. Grant's department. Sorry, Kurt, I wouldn't say there's a big switch over there, so, but I will give kudos. Again, Smart Pass, this was something that we embedded this year, which is, it controls the management system within passes for students, so we can really keep track of missed instructional time within our building. And then also give us a running list of students who are leaving the same class at the same time, or are also if there's any damage or anything. And this has really helped tremendously to cut down on vandalism in our restrooms. Strategics, again, I want to thank all of our boards, Anderson 3, 4, and 5, of course, for allowing us to also get the strategic system implemented this year at AIT. We also updated the Raptor Visitor Management System, which has been helpful due to the management of individuals in our building. And again, I am super excited, and a big thank you to everybody in this room about our conference center restrooms. If you are familiar or not familiar with AIT, we have a beautiful, large community conference center that is used by all different types of entities. However, it is not a self-contained area, and when we have visitors coming in, especially those who do not work for the school district or have not been cleared or work in, other entities, they have to go into our hallways and use the restrooms. So, again, working with all our boards, I'm very excited to, and those couple pictures there. They are just about finished. We're waiting on the fire marshal, but we have taken a closet and built 2 unisex restrooms in the conference center. So they should be ready to be used in the next couple weeks. So we're really excited about that. We have a new computer program, Siemens Engineering. What that does is that takes machining, so CNC machining, as we know, is such an important part of our manufacturing community, and then also embedding engineering and also mechatronics into a course. So we started this spring, and we will have our first completers next year, which we're super excited about. So some instructional priorities, PD focus, attendance. We are really, I know this is talking with our principals in the area, and also, you know, we've really hit hard on attendance with seat time requirements, and also working alongside all of our districts and our feeder high schools to ensure that we are having students meet that 120-hour seat hour per unit, Carnegie unit. There's a big, strong focus on tiered credentials. The EOC has, every day they're updating our tiered credentials. So students who are currently in their junior and senior year go to the old system of getting college and career readiness. Our current freshmen and sophomores are going to be base career and career ready, college ready under the tiered credential system, which is a 3-point tier. 1 point is given for a universal credential. So for example, like OSHA 10, which a lot of our manufacturing and our automotive type of programs use. Microburst that is used, that's a soft skills program. Those are all one universal credit. And then students have to get at least another 2 or higher in their chosen pathway. So we're being very direct and very strategic when we're offering certain certifications in our programs and aligning them out to ensure that all our students are college and career ready when they leave us and graduate from high school. Again, we did a big review of our industry recognized certifications. We spent a whole PD day back in January where we aligned with our executive advisory committees, and then also the needs that our business partners and then what current certifications are we giving in our classes, and really taking a deep dive into seeing, are they updated, are they meeting the tier credential system, are they going to be useful when a student leaves high school. So we've been doing a big deep dive. AI is always on the forefront in our conversations. I was at a meeting in Columbia last Wednesday and talking about AI as a pathway. However, they don't have it built out yet. So some of us are kind of just holding back a little bit because right now it wouldn't be a completer program and they're still only on course 1. So we're still kind of waiting to see to pilot that out. But really, in speaking with our constituents, AI is really everywhere, and it really needs to be embedded in everything that we do at AIT. Our last PD was about rigor and grading practices because we want to ensure that our students are getting rigorous instruction. So we really have that big concentration, and then it is an even year, so we're working on our comprehensive local needs assessment. And what that is that it's a partnership. We are considered the Worth-Lick region, Pendleton region. So Anderson, Oconee, Pickens, so it is the Career Center directors, also whoever is over your CTE at the district level, Tri-County, our workforce development folks. We have to update this CLNA every 2 years, and we all have different parts. So what it is we are really looking at the programs that we are offering at our career centers and in our high schools. Does it align to the needs in our community? So, you know, we've been working hard with that, and we are just about finishing up with that. So that is due in June, but we're about done with that. But that's a big collaboration of about 40 different people from all different entities. So those are just some new updates for this year. So this is hot off the press, so I'm excited to share. I just got this report on Wednesday. So as school report cards go, and if you get federal funding, which is the Perkins 5 funds, you would receive a Perkins performance, and it's usually, you know, a year later. And for Anderson 81, which is our district, Anderson Institute of Technology, we are rated on 3 different areas. So post-program placement, so after students leave us, you know, are we keeping up with their, obviously, where they're going next? And then non-traditional program enrollment. So do we have males in a more dominantly female career, or vice versa? Do we seeing females more in a male-dominated career? And then attain recognized post-secondary credentials. So those 3 areas are kind of like our report card at the Career Center. And how these numbers break down is the numerator, denominator. So obviously, this is how many students, and then how many actually got the points for that particular area. So our performance level is, say, for the 3S1, the post-program placement, was at 99.1%. The STBL is state-determined performance levels. So we have to at least make 90% of the state-determined performance level to get a yes on our indicators. And as you can see, that we outperform significantly in all three areas. So very proud of our folks, very proud of our students. And this, again, really impacts our funding. He's right behind me. So again, so we're real positive about that. And when we were sitting around the table, because we were in Columbia on Wednesday, it came out about 2 o'clock that morning. So everyone's logging into the system. We were talking to a colleague, and the big thing takeaway is that we really, really, really have good communication with our feeder schools, because this is so important to get this right, because not only is it basing on our funding, but it's also on our strategic plan, because this is a big part of that. And, so we are constantly looking at data, constantly communicating with our feeder schools to ensure that this data is correct and our students are getting everything that.
Congratulations,
Oh,
Dr.
thank
Estes.
you, appreciate that. It's the group, believe me, they're amazing. So here's our enrollment data, and we're gonna kind of take a little deeper dive into this. So over the last 3 years, we have seen a slight decline in attendance. However, we have seen a decline in attendance across all 3 districts in our high schools. So again, I'm not making excuses for any of that. There's been some, switching around. We're really hitting hard. Our preliminary numbers look really strong for next year. But these are what we were looking at. So these were actual numbers, and then in the green is A5 students. So just looking over, typically, and again, because A5 is our biggest feeder, we sit at about 70%. So right now, we're, the first year that was about 72%, 71%, and we're sitting at 70% right now. So we're on target, but obviously the more students we would love to have at AIT. So this is always a big question that's asked, course requests versus students scheduled, and why is there such a difference? So we've been doing a deep dive into this as well, and so just given the 25-26 school year. So we had 1,866 course requests from our A5 high schools, and then actual numbers were actual scheduled students were 1,486. So again, we're at 80%, which is good. However, people ask, well, why is that? What are the barriers? And there's not one answer there. There's so many different variables. Ms. Brubble and I, we were just finishing the master schedule because we're waiting on, we just got our crescent numbers yesterday. So we were finishing it out, and just looking at the numbers, but also it could be schedule conflicts, especially if there's a singleton. And my high school folks know that if you have AP laying at one part of the day and we offer at the same time, there's going to be a conflict. So, and also 5 different high schools have 5 different schedules. The other thing too is course requests. Looking at the numbers today, some of our programs, we have doubled the course requests that we could actually accommodate. So that really factors into that. So I'll give you a prime example. Cosmetology, we know that that's always a very, very competitive, but we only have 40 slots per year. That's per LLR, and we have 2 full-time programs. So that only gives our A5 slots 28 of those 40. I can tell you Westside alone has 45 course requests for cosmetology 1-2 next year. So again, and there's nothing we could do with those numbers. That's a state requirement. So again, there's a lot of course requests in many, if not most, of our courses, but we're also looking at those, and that's why I'm going to move to the next slide. This shows you an overall of the percentage of slots filled for this current school year, and they are in order. So as you see, computer science, and in green is AIT, and then in blue is A5. So you can see that we exceed, where we have some slots that say we only give Westside and TL Hanna 18 slots, but the other districts don't use the other slots and they request more. We always want to fill those slots, so it's not just, oh well, you didn't fill your slots, or you're limited this. We would not let a slot go empty, not offering it to a student in any of our districts. And some of the programs are more popular from some of our districts. Each of our districts has a specific culture. And as you see, computer science, networking, firefighting, Siemens engineering on the lower side. And then if you go to the right, you see where our health science, auto tech 4, cosmetology, our health CNA clinical, health science 1, those are our real popular programs. And I broke it down even further, so it's just so interesting when I was looking at this data, the highest enrollment overall for AIT matches the same exact enrollment for A5, meaning that these 5 courses here were not only the highest enrollment at AIT, these represent the highest enrollment of A5 students as well. So obviously you can see the different percentages, but I just thought that was interesting that, but again, looking at math, 70% of our students do come from A5. So, but again, the auto tech, health science 2, health science 1, CNA clinical, and cosmetology are most popular programs that we have at AIT and then from A5. Now, our lowest enrollments, Siemens Engineering, which we are at 50% capacity for this year, but as you see, A5's at 31%. Brand new program that is to be expected to get that going. But computer science, networking, firefighting, digital art, as you see, we are nowhere near filling all those slots. So we have done some things internally, looking at master schedules to ensure that, for example, computer science and networking, both of them have a cybersecurity component. So there, to me, that was just, you're kind of stealing from one to take the other to fill up those slots, but neither one of them were filled. So we got a little creative, and our networking instructor, we had him trained in Project Lead the Way, so he's going to be doing some engineering for us. So we had a teacher, part-time teacher retiring, so we're not going to replace that position. So we are having people get certified in different areas to meet the needs of our students. So there's not 3 or 4 students in the class, but also it's matching what our high needs area are, and then looking at, well, computer science, why is it so low? And then we're taking that information, and then again, we're just not stretching our people thin. We want to make sure that we are building them up. And again, firefighting, 50%, but that really, that's what it looks like across the state. So we are not alone in that. And digital art, again, it's just, it goes up and it goes down. But yeah, so we've really made a conscious decision with the computer science and the networking to take a look at those numbers and come up with a plan. So so now we get to the fun, exciting stuff that we get to celebrate. So our Parliament internship program, if you're not familiar with our Parliament areas, our coffee shop area, we were lucky enough to hire a certified special education teacher last year to not only help make our Parliament an internship area, because we are actually a job site, but also our students with 504s and IEPs has, it's through the roof. I don't know, it's beyond quadrupled in the last year or so. So having someone there who can actually help support our teachers and our students, but also having the Parliament open. So we, again, are a work site. We got with the high schools, our feeder high schools, to see how can we support our high schools in getting all students college and career ready. As we know in the report card, that, little indicator on the points where how come a certain group of students do not meet CCR. So we went again and met with all of our feeder high schools and said, how can we help you with this? So last year we had 27 students complete the 40-hour internship, which made them a career ready qualifier. So we decided this year, let's take this step forward. A step, even higher. So we went to, especially all the high schools earlier this year, we said, okay, all those 27 last year were non-diploma students. Give us your seniors. Who do you have who are getting ready to graduate who have not been identified as CCR? And I'm excited that this year we'll have 46 students complete the 40-hour internship, which makes them college and career ready. 10 of those students are diploma students. So again, they're going to walk across that stage, get a regular diploma, but we have helped their schools earn their CCR. So to break down for A5, Westside will have 9 completers this year, and 7 students have already earned their ServSafe certification. We have a couple of students taking it in March. And then TL Hannah, which we're so excited came on board this year, and they'll have 10 completers. So again, 46 students who otherwise would probably more likely not be college and career ready. That's a big deal for us. And again, it's a service for our kids, and it's just wonderful. We also noticed one of our diploma students who probably needs some help with, in the social skills area. Well, she's helping out in the mornings a little bit. She's not part of any program or anything. She's actually she's going to be double completer this year. But again, it's just knowing our students and knowing what their needs are and working with, everyone to make sure that happens. So very excited about that. Again, giving back to our community, that is something that I always love to share. And, there were just so many things I couldn't even fit it all on one screen. So we had the food drive back in November. We had the truck or treat, which was a big trunk or treat. So back in October, that was we were out of candy by, I think, like the second hour. So if you see in the top right corner, the Calhoun Academy of the Arts, our cosmetology students are actually going over on Teacher Appreciation Week and actually performing some services for the teachers and staff at Calhoun. So we try to do at least 1 or 2 community events each year. We've had people from halfway houses come in and get services also. And you're like, what is this spreadsheet? What are these things over here? This just made my heart so full. So I hope I'm saying her name right, Miss Andrade, she is the deaf and the blind instructor for A5. I haven't met her in person, but we've emailed. And she reached out to us to see, would it be possible for our engineering students to kind of come up with some devices to assist some of our students? And I know you can't see it very well, but the middle piece is a spreadsheet. It's actually like a work order where the students these are different files, and then there was a supervisor, so they are, is something a work in progress, they're checking that off. Is something ready for delivery? But as you see in the top with the red and the blue, those are help for students with mobility issues, help them have straw holders, and also help to zip up a zipper. And the black device on the bottom is students who have a leg issue that helps them put their socks on. So our students made them and delivered this product to our students for A5. So we're very excited about that. This particular group of students actually is also doing a community project at Dodge Industrial. Well, they're helping them to problem solve with some of their engineering programs as well. So again, great partnership. We have another, I'll show them the next slide. We're doing another kind of like an egg hunt, another truck show coming up in April. So we're excited about that. So the kids are always, and these are all student driven, and that makes it, even more amazing. It's not us telling them they need to do that. It's, again, come visit our office. So again, and I'm probably over so much time, AIT, we are having our spring plant sale coming up. So these are our dates. So it begins April 8th. Saturday, April 11th that's the day we're doing that community event where we're gonna have fire trucks, like the helicopter, like a touch of truck, but also we're gonna do the plant sale that same day. But please, yes, this is when our plant sale, they're gorgeous, gorgeous plants. So please come out and get all your. So these are just some upcoming dates that we have of events that I would love to invite anybody and everybody to. So again, the Touch a Truck the Plant sale is Saturday, April 11th. Our NTHS, which is our National Tech Honor Society induction ceremony, is the April 14th. We have 2 completer ceremonies, and we are very excited this year that we have more than, I think it's 7 or 8 double completers. So they've not have only just completed one pathway, they actually chose to come back and complete a different pathway. So, one particular student, she's completed in digital art, but she also will complete in animal science. So again, but this was the first year that we have a handful of double completers, which is exciting. And we have so many that we have to do it on 2 nights. And then Tuesday, May 12th, capstone project presentations. It's a drop-in event. We don't have as many capstone projects in the spring because most of our completer 3-4 classes are in the fall, but we do have some like health science, auto tech, and welding. So we invite you to drop in and come see our building. Questions, comments? I know I talk a lot.
You had any issues with the Raptor visitor management system?
The only issue that I have is that sometimes we lose the connection where it doesn't print the badge.
Okay.
But no, to be honest with you, it's been great because if somebody gets flagged, I could be anywhere and it'll come right up on my phone. I think it's oversensitive, which is, I'd rather be oversensitive than undersensitive, which is great. But especially if it's a common name, but I haven't had any issue.
Last thing is, I have a hand trimmer, so I'll take a sample of any assistive devices you have as extra credit if your students will.
Yeah, because I asked Dr. Terry, I said, do you have any left? She's like, no, we delivered them all, because I was gonna bring them, show you all.
That's a great concept.
Thank you.
Yes, well, I mean,
Great job.
plus even today, I mean, it's just, again, and Mr. Randall. You know, we get deliveries all the time of equipment and things like that, where our students in automotive, they need to learn to use tools. So, you know, so they put a manager table together for us, and, you know, it's something that's been sitting on the dock because we couldn't get someone, you know, contracted to come put it together. I mean, those kids enjoyed it, it's a learning experience, so again, we want that real world, hands-on experience for our kids. So we want it to be authentic and student focused.
I tell you, I will throw in a plug for your plant sale. I normally go out there and buy a few plants, and they seem to be so much more acclimated to the weather locally. We bought some late. I think we were probably going for the late sale or something. But we planted them. They didn't do good, and so I was like, well, that's okay. Get up a year after that. We had the most beautiful flowers come up. They got down below the bark or something and stayed warm in the winter, and beautiful flowers the next year.
So Mr. DeVos comes in my office once a week to make sure that things that I have are there are still living.
Good buys and great plants.
They do a really, really good job.
Dr. Estes, do you see any programs that we need to look at adding in the future? I mean, I hear electricians are in huge demand, industrial, residential, commercial, whatever. That I hear that over and over and over again.
So, we need space, right now, I mean, we're out of space, and that would be something that we would need to decide, you know,
Okay.
districts wide, and then really what we need to CLNA, like our electricity program is always full, it is absolutely always full, they're getting certified, but, you know, our worry is oversaturation, of course, so, but yeah, you know, we still have the marine, you know, still looking at that in the future, just need to tweak the space a little bit.
So that's still in the works, the marine technology?
Yes, yeah, it
Okay.
just, the space that we originally were looking at is not gonna work, so, but, yeah, absolutely.
We got a lake out there.
Off my office right there, that's not a problem. But yeah, I mean, I think it's, you know, this is my third year, and I'm blessed to be at AIT, I couldn't be more thankful. But it's really, to really see things now over time, to see, and it's hard, because you don't have a crystal ball, you know, when we knew COVID hit and, you know, all that, you know, not like that happens again, actually. But it's, you know, we try to be proactive to see what the future is gonna hold, but it's just so hard to see. I know culinary is one that's come up several times, very expensive to run, very expensive to build. I was talking to Ms. Harrell, who is the director at ACTC in Columbia, and she said, it's just not only the expansion of the culinary, it's just the consumables alone. Like our welding, another one, welding, fantastic program, always full for us. But the cost to run welding is so expensive, and so we're just being very, and, you know, we're good stewards of, you know, people's money and stuff, so we're, you know, we don't want to overspend, but we also want to ensure all of our students have everything they need. So it's just gonna be, we want to work on some 3 and 5 year plans, I think, for each of our programs, to see not only about adding, but are there some that we need to look at that, you know, are gonna be obsolete, that really aren't giving back to the community, and, do we need to replace them with something more effective that will, again, because we want to keep Anderson, our students in Anderson, work in Anderson, stay in Anderson, so. Need those needs?
I get asked about culinary art, but arts a lot. But I think it's more of a fun thing for them to take instead of a career path. I really and truly.
Yeah, I mean, there's 2 different pathways you can do. There's just a typical culinary, and then there's the baking piece. But the piece too is that they really would have to go to get certified, like I mean, they'd have to go to Charlotte and get, you know, need to be chefs, so to speak. But it could be a definite fun program. It could be something that could prepare students for the hospitality, which is really in everything that we do. But again, looking at the living wage when they graduate, would that be worth the investment? And again, I'm not saying yes or no. It's just, that would be quite a renovation.
Oh, yeah, I think it was last time it was $2 or $3 million. Thank you, Dr. Estes.
Yes, thank you, Dr. Estes.
Dr. Estes, I
Okay,
appreciate
thank
what
you.
you do.
Sorry to take so much of your time.
Madam Chair, Amy Hurd will come now to present the monthly financial report and provide updates for the 26-27 budget.
Madam Chair, Dr. Kelly, members of the board, good evening.
Good evening.
As requested by the board, to keep the financial presentation brief, I am happy to answer any questions that you may have regarding the financial and sales tax information that was provided in your board package on Friday.
Did notice that our sales tax was down again.
It is down compared to the same time last year. It is up from the previous month, but it's December, so it's always gonna be a high month for us. But it was down less than the same time last year.
Oh, hi.
No other questions. We will keep moving, and I will go to the budget. Sorry, let me get my glasses. All right. So this is the budget update for the House Ways and Means information that we have received. School districts received the initial projection on Friday afternoon. And then this morning, we received an email from the state that said there was an error in their calculations and they had redone the numbers. So this is the most updated information that we have as of lunchtime today. We have updated our numbers that we have. But again, if you'll remember, the House is all the way through the budget. It's currently moved over to the Senate to begin their budget deliberations. So this is just the House Ways and Means. We don't have the full House projections yet, but we will get y'all those as soon as we have them. But you know that millage is a calculation based on CPI growth at the state level, which is 2.63%. That is provided by the state. Additionally provided by the state is the Anderson 5 growth. We don't have that number yet. That will be added to the 2.63% to see how many meals we could potentially raise millage if the board chose to. I did put a number here. This is not the administration's recommendation. We're not saying that we're going to do it. I just wanted to provide you information so you would know what is available. So as of right now, the 2.63% is 5 meals, and that would be $1.325 million. The next 4 things there that you can see, really the state aid to classrooms, EIA and general fund, and retiree insurance, those top 3 right there, those are the 3 that we received from the state today. So you can see that from one category, we're losing almost $400,000 from the state. I did review some other districts as well. That looks to be a common occurrence across the state. Again, because this just came at lunch today, I haven't been able to try to dig in and see exactly why that number is going down, what that calculation is coming from, but we will find that out. The state aid to classroom general fund, that's the $2,000 that the governor is giving to school districts to make the minimum teacher salary $50,500. Our minimum salary is already $52,000. So we are already above that, but you will see that I've got some numbers for you a little further down on cost. So you see that tier 3, that is the funding that we get for the 1% sales tax for when they added Act 388. So that is the new money that we will receive from that calculation. You can see here the next item says CTE reclassification. In the past months, I've talked to you in regards to the new funding formula for the state aid to classroom. And one of the pieces in that is that they're pulling out the CTE from the state aid to classroom, and they're gonna fund that separately. It was a weighting of 1.20 for every student that was in a CTE class. Now it's going to a 1.0, and they're pulling it out of the classification state aid to classroom. So as of right now, the way the House has written that bill, pulling that out to CTE means we can only use that money for equipment. And currently it's in state aid to the classroom, which means we're using it for salaries. So we have been assured at the state level that they're either gonna do a waiver or the Senate is going to work on it and get the language in there that we can use the new CTE classification, for salaries as well. So we are hoping that is the case, and we'll be able to put a number there for additional, money for salaries. The boat tax, we've been talking about that for over a year now, did talk to the county, and for the next 3 years, we're gonna have to take $120,000 out of the budget. It starts in January of 2027, so this will be for next year, and then it'll be a 3-year progression. So it'll be 120 comes off the budget, off the property tax line, next year be another 120, the third year will be 120.
They didn't totally remove it, they just reduced it, is that correct?
They reduced it, and they're phasing it in over 3 years.
Okay, but it's not totally eliminated. Okay, that's what I thought I understood. Thank you, Ms. Hurd.
Didn't we estimate that impact would be $700,000?
Yes, sir, and this is 1/3. And so the county, I think with just the new calculation that they did, they don't think it will quite be 700,000. But yes.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
And that's because we were originally thinking it was gonna be eliminated completely. If I'm correct.
Yes.
I think originally we thought it was gonna be eliminated completely, but now I'm understanding you're saying they're not gonna completely.
You know, now that you say that, I need to, maybe it is being eliminated I need to go back.
Okay,
and look at it.
okay.
That one has changed so many times,
Oh,
kinda
yeah.
like with the, homestead exemption, it keeps changing, the rules keep changing on it, so let me find out for
Okay.
sure and let you guys know
Thank you, Ms.
on
Hurd.
that, if it's just a reduction,
I-
or is the 3 years going to eliminate it?
Okay.
It
I know
may
they're
be-
eliminated on the outboard motors, but not the boat itself, I
That's-
think is what I heard.
I think you're right, and so I think it's a little bit of both, but I will definitely get an answer and make sure everybody's aware of that. So that is that, and then the last item there is out-of-district tuition that is on our, agenda for later in the evening, if you guys would like to continue with us charging out-of-district tuition, or if you'd like to eliminate that. If we do eliminate it, it will be a negative $95,000 that we'll have to take out of the budget, so I wanted you to make sure that you were aware of that. Our mandatory costs that we have right now in House Ways and Means, the health insurance is no additional costs for employees or employers. That's a good thing. This is probably the first year in, I can
What's zero
remember
last year,
ever
yeah.
not having an employee increase. Now, I will say the House did this same thing last year and said no increase, and when it moved over to the Senate, they said no, employers are gonna have a 4.6% increase. But last year, employees were going to get an increase and employers were not, and the Senate flopped that. So maybe it'll stay zero through the Senate as well. We haven't heard of a retirement increase for the employer, so we're hoping that stays zero as well. Our workers' comp, our cyber insurance, property casualty, every crime, everything that we have, we get that new allocation early May, late April, early May from Skisbit, that is who our insurance is with, so we'll know that at just a little bit later of time. The state is mandating a teacher step. Finance is currently in the process of calculating that right now. That's a little complicated, that and the staff step increase is not quite as easy as calculating salary, so we're still working on that. But I did want you to know that last year, that calculation was $708,000, so it would not be less than that. And then the state has also mandated bus drivers to have a 2% cost of living adjustment.
Sir, I know it, back here a couple of months ago, I heard mentioned in political that they were considering making all buses contract throughout the state, since the state owns the buses. Is that still?
I haven't heard that
Okay,
anywhere.
okay.
You know, Charleston does that.
I knew Charles, but I think they were trying, because I think the state wanted to get out on the buses, if I'm
Yes,
correct.
because we are only, I think there's one other state in the nation that the state owns the buses, so that is a very unusual thing, that the state does that. It would, if they passed it down to us, I would fear that we wouldn't get all the money that we needed to fund it, so,
I agree.
but they are, bus drivers for some reason are employees of the district, but when we have to give bus drivers whatever state employees get. So they mandate that. They're the only ones that get that. So state employees currently are getting a 2% increase, so bus drivers have to get a 2% increase. A few years ago, if you were already paying over the state minimum on bus driver pay, you didn't have to increase it, but they changed that law the last few years and say, no matter what you pay, you have to give 2% on top of that. So this calculation is 2% on top of that, because we're probably in the top 5 in the state on bus driver pay.
What do we pay them now?
Over $20 an hour to start, a starting bus driver, regular bus driver, not special ed, because if you're special ed, you get a little bit more.
Any idea where we are on staffing in terms of percent shortage?
It's in your folder that you received tonight. The folder has it in there, and I have that written down as well.
The little blue folder?
Yes, sir. So you'll have a paper that looks like this
It's 12 big.
in your folder.
Ah.
And so on there, we are 12 drivers short and 3 assistants short.
I know that we are short with buses, and I know that you were saying something about teacher salary and how it does by the state. But I noticed that our teaching assistants, seems like they can't get up to $25 an hour. Even the ones that have 4-year degrees.
No, ma'am, we don't have many folks outside of teachers or something that are making $25 an hour.
No, that's what I know. God said that, that's why I say even with the ones that have 2 and 4 years degree, there's no way we could pump that up in.
We can do whatever's the pleasure of the board. Whatever you would like. We have, compared ourselves with other districts in the upstate and around the state. With teaching assistants, nurses, other categories. We are much more competitive in teaching assistants than we are in other categories.
Really?
Our teaching assistants have gotten about a 50% raise over the last couple of years. So there have been others that we have not moved nearly. Some are 12 and 13%, but our teaching assistants have received quite a raise over the last several years. But they still are,
Below.
they're still short as compared to others. But we are very much competitive or on the high end in teaching assistants, looking really Columbia up to Anderson.
Okay.
Back to the bus, I'm just curious, Amy, on, you said Charleston contract, is there any cost savings to the district? Is it kind of a neutral, I'm just thinking, if the state did this, would it cost us more, or nobody knows?
I don't think we know. I mean,
Okay.
culinary services is contracted out in many school districts
Yeah.
across the state. And typically you have an employee that runs the program for the district, and then everybody else is employed by the contracting agency, which is typically still the staff that you had. If you were to move, if the state were to mandate, okay, you're gonna have to contract out your bus drivers, we would probably have a bus driving person, and then everybody else would go work for the, chances are it's not gonna save much money.
That's what I figured.
No, not really.
At least this way, they're your employees and you know what you got.
Yes. We can have them follow our own policies.
Dr. Kelly, what's the timeline for hiring the new director of transportation?
It'll be presented to you this evening in executive direction
all
session.
Thank you.
So those are right now, we don't know a lot of the mandated costs. Again, hope the top 2 stay the same. Got 2 there that we need to calculate, but our mandated cost right now is $69,000. As we're looking at some savings, as staff have left during this fiscal year, there are some positions that we have not refilled, and then there are some positions that we've already replaced for next year, and if the salary is more or less, we have calculated that in the savings. I know Ms. Elrod's division lost an administrative assistant, finance lost an administrative assistant. We have some positions that were moved from general fund. We're moved from general fund to Title I program. And let me speak about that really quick while we're talking about that. The budget that you guys are seeing is the general fund budget that comes from the taxpayers' money, the property taxes, and the state funding that we get for teachers. I know Ms. Goldsmith spoke early about needing some more additional special education teachers. There is some money in the general fund that handles special education teachers. It's called maintenance of effort. You've probably heard me talk about that before. We have to meet that same maintenance of effort every year and make sure that we spend that money on special ed. But then the rest of those funds come from our IDEA, our federal special ed dollars. So I know Ms. Elrod and Dr. O'Laughlin will probably be working with the schools to see what the needs are, to see if additional classes are needed. And as Ms. Wanzer was speaking as well about the position being eliminated from Nevitt Forest, that was a Title I position that the principals have discretion on how they want to use their title funding. That's above and beyond what the district gives them in the general fund. So I just wanted to make sure that you guys were aware of that. That was not a decision that you guys made or that the general fund made to cut those positions or to not fund those positions. That's federal dollars that the principals and the federal directors are working with these schools to make the best decisions. And I do know that Dr. Kelly, Ms. Elrod, myself, Ms. Bufford, and Kim Morgan have several meetings working through Robert Anderson specifically to make sure that they do have all the instructional staff that they need, and make sure, you'll see in just a minute, we're still working on teacher-pupil ratios, because we do know the complexities of a Title I school. So that is something we're keenly aware of and we are working through. So just, I thought about that, wanted to say that really quickly. So as of anything that the board had approved through Friday, then these were what the savings have been from personnel changes, either the positions being eliminated or changes in staffing to save $321,000. Additionally, we've gone through the budget line item by line item, the package that you get prior to every board meeting. We have gone through line item excluding the schools. We've gone through the district level accounts and looked at what we could cut to try to make sure that we're being very conscious of the spending that we have and the taxpayer money, and also to make sure that we do not touch the schools, the funding for the schools. So we have cut $160,000 from different accounts there. So between the two, those two right now, we have a savings of $481,000. You know, it is the time of year that teacher contracts are coming, people will be resigning and moving back and forth. As much as we can before you guys have to approve the budget, we'll continue to work on this personnel changes line item to, if newer folks are coming in and we're saving money that's in the budget, we'll go ahead and update that to show you that, so you'll have that. Now, the opposite can be true as well, so just being very transparent. If we have somebody that leaves that's maybe a 10-year employee, and we go find a great employee that wants to come and have 20 years, it's gonna cost us more. So that's gonna have to be an offset. But we will absolutely keep you updated on that. Some other requests down here, teacher-pupil ratio. Right now, we have savings of 2 teachers. And just so you'll know how I calculate that number, you're gonna see in a minute, you're gonna be like, wait a minute, you calculate savings and you calculate costs very differently. Yes, that is my financial history and background. When you're projecting the savings, you go the low end. When you're projecting the cost, you go the high end. And that's why we can get those line item savings up there, because we just don't know who the people will be. So for our savings, I've chosen bachelor's step 0 with a single insurance to get to that amount. For our additional teachers, right now we are requesting 2 multilingual teachers for next year. We're using a master's step 12 with $11,000 of insurance. But let me talk about teacher-pupil ratio before we go on to the next thing. We currently have done elementary, and we are at -2 for the year. But we have like a 3 to 4 year plan for teacher-pupil ratio. And what we have done for the current budget for fiscal year 26-27 is for grades 1 through 3 in the title schools, we have moved down the teacher-pupil ratio from 21-1 to 18-1. So that really made a big difference in that we could have saved a lot of other teachers as well, but we wanted to start there. And then the plan is next year, the non-title schools in grades 1 through 3 will move down to 18-1. And then after that, we will start working on grades 4 and 5 to bring those down as well. So Dr. Kelly, Ms. Elrod, they have a plan over the next several years to continue to bring down our teacher-pupil ratio. We also do have the calculation of what that looks like as compared to our other Anderson districts. That was something that we had previously, I had asked for previously, that I have that information. So elementary is where we've tied those numbers down really well. We are still working on the middle schools, as I just said. working with school choice and what seats are available, working with Title I, making sure that we are very equitable to everyone on both sides of town for that. And then high school, we are meeting, Friday of this week. We have to wait later on high school because they have to do their master schedule. So they have to go through all their IGPs and get everything set up so then we can truly see where they are. So we always do them much later than we do everybody else. And then just one thing that I want to make sure that, well, two things I want to make sure you're aware of. We are monitoring kindergarten registration. Our district is currently in that. We've tried to put that on social media. We've got it on our website. Our kindergarten numbers have gone down over the last several years, so we're really trying to make an effort to make sure everybody is aware that kindergarten registration is going on. We do get a lot of registrations the first day of school, and that's okay too. We're glad to have them. Just come on anytime that you can. But we are trying to get folks in now so we can kind of see what the numbers look like. So that is, just want you to know, we are monitoring kindergarten registration as well. So Friday, we're doing high school meetings with our principals and the instructional staff, and Dr. Kelly is also working on our kindergarten registration numbers to see where our schools are. And then the last thing I wanted to say about teacher-pupil ratio is the official date for Title I schools. So if any school hits 75% poverty, by law, we have to serve them as a Title I school. The official date for us to do that calculation is April 1st. We have to wait until the state to send us information on April 1st. Obviously, we're on spring break on April 1st of this particular year, so we'll do that as soon as we come back from spring break. We'll get the information from the state. We'll calculate it and see if we have to add any additional schools or if any schools actually drop off of our title plan. We are just not sure right at the moment. We have some that are close, so that's something we're monitoring.
Where's Kim's concerns, both adding and losing?
I think it's adding.
What school?
Yes.
Westside was an issue at one time.
I'm sorry, McLeese is close, is the one that we're really watching to see if it's going to have to be added as a Title I school. In fact, we think it may jump some of our other title schools. But again, numbers change, so we're waiting on April 1st. Kim gets those numbers every month. So we get the numbers the first of every month, and we're starting to calculate it after November. She gets those, and she kind of keeps me updated, and we're worried that McLeese may end up going.
Westside was a worry at one time and would have taken a lot of our money, so that's kind of off the table then?
Right now, we don't think Westside is going to. Last year, we thought Westside might hit. That doesn't seem to be as big a concern this year.
Good.
Now, again, we may be shocked, but we will definitely let you know, because that will impact these teacher-pupil ratios, especially since we're working at the elementary level. So if McLeese goes, those two savings may go away. We'd have to look at McLeese specifically. And we've done that. We know what will happen if McLeese goes. So just want to make sure you guys were aware of that. We talked about the ML teachers. We've currently signed a new Chromebook lease, and it's $131,000 more than the current lease that we have, so we would need to add that into the budget. Just as you know, utilities and everything is going up, so we put a 3% increase in there. That's the cost of that. I'm coming back to the salary increases, but let's jump down. Up above, you had as a requirement a teacher step. That's mandated at the state. The non-teaching step is not mandated at the state, so that'll be a choice of the board, as we're working on both of those in conjunction together, so we'll have that together. And then board compensation rate, because we put in last year's budget the $33,000 that was talked about last year for board compensation, if the board determines that they want to change the amount for the future, we will not need to make a change in the 26-27 budget, because only 4 of you will be available to take it, so we still have enough funding. If the amount changes, after the next election is when we would need to put additional money into the budget. So I did want y'all to know that we were thinking about it, but we just know that it doesn't have to have any dollar amount. So let's look at the salary increases. So the top portion here is teachers. So if you do a flat $2,000 raise for every teacher, so you take the teacher salary schedule and just raise every single line item by $2,000, That will cost $2.4 million. A $4,000 would cost $4.9 million. Again, we want to be very competitive and get the best teachers that we can for our classrooms. But again, we are above the state minimum of $50,500 already. So just keep both of those in mind. If you didn't want to go a flat rate and we want to look at percentages, we have the cost for 1%, 2%, and 3%. All of these numbers here include all of the benefits associated with the salary increase, and that's a 34% employer cost for FICA, retirement, workers' comp. So that's teachers. So anywhere from really 2.4 to almost 5 million if you do a flat rate, or 818 to 2.4 million dollars if you want to do a one. And we can keep going up if you want a 5%. I can do all those calculations. Just wanted you to see. Once you do 1%, it's really easy to do the rest. You just keep multiplying.
This is on top of the 2% mandate.
This is on top of the teacher step.
The teacher step.
Unfortunately, teacher step is not a lot of money. Again, that's that's that state mandated teacher schedule. From step 1 to step 2 might be $250. So it's not a lot. But yes, this would be in addition to the teacher step mandate.
Steps,
then-
I'm sorry,
I'm
usually
sorry.
less, 2% or less, right?
Yes, it is.
And is that true for just about everybody?
It is.
2%?
Unfortunately, what makes not a lot of sense to me is on the teacher salary schedule, which again, district did not create, the state created it. The more tenured you get, the less your step increase is. Every other district schedule that the last salary schedule that we did created, the more tenured you are, the higher your step increase is. So they're trying to reward longevity. Unfortunately, the state doesn't do that. I think the state's trying to get the teachers in. Let's get them in out of school, let's get them in the classroom, and then they don't reward them long-term for their longevity. So that's just, again, how that schedule is set up from the state level.
They're front-loading. How many steps do we have on the teacher schedule?
28. We have 28 on every salary schedule we have. Some districts have
30-something.
30, 32. Anderson 1 has more than 30. Some have 17, some have 18. It is completely the discretion of the board. We were at 25 and we've gotten it up to 28 because you can't retire until you have 28. So I know that was, as the board was doing it over the last 10 years, moving it up to get to 28, that was kind of the thought. You can't retire until you get to 28, so let's at least give them something. Now, if you do the cost of living, even a 28-year person will get something, but if you don't do a cost of living, they get no increase.
But there's a new formula for retirement, is it not, Ms. Bufford? You got I'm sorry, I hadn't looked at it. A new formula for how many years a person has to have to retire? Or is it just a flat 28 like it always was?
No, it's the rule of 90.
That's it.
After
age and year
2013,
service.
it's the rule of 90. So you have to have years of service plus age equals 90. Or be 62. I believe it's 62.
Okay.
I do know the rule of 90. Age and years have to equal
Yeah.
90. And that unfortunately was, because teachers could come in right out of school and start at 21, get 28 years and be 50 years old.
Right.
And retire with full retirement. And now with the new formula, they cannot do that.
Can
And
they
that-
still buy years?
You can, yes, sir. They can buy years. Yes.
But the philosophy of the 28 years, because that was the old number, now the rule of 90, we might want to rethink about, yeah.
Yes, sir. That's a good point because a lot of people are not going to be able to retire at 28 years.
No.
It's going to take, if you come into a teaching, at any district, if you come into teaching, if you're going to come into the state system, then you're probably going to have to work more than 28 years now. So, good point. So these are the numbers that you can see per category. And some have very few numbers in the people, and then some have a lot of folks. You know, custodians would be through all schools, district offices, that's both buildings, maintenance. So you can see, we have the calculation for everybody. So 1% is $358 all the way up to a little over $1 million for 3%. So that will be something that you guys can determine, and we'll put those in calculation right there. We told you we're working on the 9-step, don't need anything there. So right now, based on what you've seen, just on this sheet, knowing we still have to calculate the teacher mandated step, that's not a requirement, and we're probably going to have an insurance increase that we're waiting on. Those two things are probably coming. That's the only two mandated things that you have to do. Everything else will be up to the board. Right now, if you include the millage that I showed you up above, which again is completely your discretion, this is $3 million. If you take out the millage and don't do the millage, it's $1.7 million. Again, 1.7, you gotta take out, and got 1.7, you gotta take out teacher step. Last year it was 700,000. You gotta take out insurance. Last year it was 100,000. You're at about $900,000. And there's your cost, if you wanna give any raises.
Special ed is funded how?
Special ed is funded partially by the general fund and partially by federal dollars that we call IDEA, Individuals with Disabilities Education Act.
So some districts only fund with federal money. Is that right?
Should not. I think you have to have a general fund local match.
I know we've always
We have
supplemented
always
as a
done that.
general fund.
Yes, sir. So it's about $11 million that we have in the general fund that go straight towards special education. We don't do that same thing for Title I, except for what we just talked about with teacher-pupil ratios. So we are enduring additional costs through the budget because we've lowered the ratios. And just so you know, any school that is Title I, if their ratios are if their ratios are lower than any of this, so let's say a kindergarten classroom at Nevitt Forest, if they have 23 kids in the classroom and Mr. Williams just says that is just too many kids in the in the kindergarten program, he can take his Title I funds and buy a reduced class size teacher to pay for another teacher to bring those down to like 18 instead of 23. So that is completely at the discretion of each Title I principal. Like I said, Ms. Elrod, federal programs, and the principals get together and look at the instructional program to determine what are the needs of that school. And I know this year, our principals have been making some really hard decisions as they're looking at what's the best Tier 1 instruction in front of students, teacher-focused instruction. So I know that is what some of the decisions that are being made is for that reason. Interventionists to get grades up, additional teachers in the classroom, Tier 1. They're making very, very focused decisions on how to ensure that students are learning best. So I do know we're working on that. So that is where we are with the budget right now. I'm sure additional information will be coming. The only other thing that I would like to bring to your attention, two other things I'd like to bring to your attention, is last year during the budget process, you guys approved for us to pay out sick leave over 90 days. So if anybody has more than 90 days of sick leave, you lose that every year. And you guys, you can only have 15. That's all. That would be the max you could have is 15. But if they had that, you guys approved for us to pay it out. And last year, when we were talking to you, we said, how about a rate of $65? As I've worked through the details and the processes of that, I would like to ask you guys to consider, again, completely up to the board. If you don't want to do it, that is not a problem. We'll leave it at $65. But I'm asking you if we can change it to a per hour rate, because some employees work 6 hours a day, some employees work 7 hours a day, some employees work 7.5 hours a day, some work 8 hours a day. So if you do a flat daily rate, it's hurting some more than others. And our leave is in 15-minute increments. So if you were to do an hourly rate, we can make that rate match whatever they may have. So if they had 92 days and 92.25 days, we could pay them 2.25 days if they had an hourly rate.
Makes a
So
lot more sense.
that's just something that I'm asking about. And again, last year we said $65 a day. I'm just asking, would you consider $10 an hour for anything over 90? Again, that will be whatever is the pleasure of the board that we can make that, because we won't do that until after June 30th. Yes, sir.
While you're on that one, looking over my notes from last year, we had said, or it was proposed, that only the folks that will get this money, days over 90, would be those that don't earn vacation. But then it was, when I looked at the bulleted list of what we approved, that was gone.
Yeah, I think that we talked about that, but the calculated number had everybody in it.
Mm-hmm.
I I don't think it was specific, so if that's something that you would like, I think that we need to.
We can't change it for this year. I certainly wouldn't do that.
But,
Not
but
if-
if you
not
want
if-
that going forward, because I do think people are aware of that,
Mhm.
and so they're being conscious of their time and not taking it to get the payback.
Right, right. So.
Most folks make more than $10 an hour in our district, Miss Lambert. We
Yeah.
don't have anybody
Not many
less
of
than
them.
$10 an hour.
And one other thing, would you mind flipping to the salary, the teacher and the assistant salary list? Okay. So, kind of have it where the teachers and the non-teachers, okay. So on row 4, you got teacher cost at a flat 2,000,
Yes, sir.
and that comes out to 2.4 million.
Mhm.
Or row 8, teacher cost at 3% is also 2.4 million.
Yes.
So if you did a flat rate of 2,000, let's say a new teacher who's going to be making less, that would be more advantageous for that teacher to get that flat too.
Yes.
Because
I have
it's-
done, I'm sorry, I've sent that to Dr. Kelly. I don't have that here with me tonight, but I know what a bachelor's and zero, I know every percentage on every single line item. I believe it's over 4% for a bachelor's plus
Right.
zero, and either slightly under 2 or right at 2 for for a doctorate in 28.
I would love to know what that kind of transition that I just did there would be for the non-teacher ops, because we're only showing 1, 2, and 3%. But if we gave, say, the non-teachers a $1,000 raise, what percentage does that equate to, or a 2% or a 3%? You follow what I'm
Yes,
saying?
sir.
Because if you give a flat, say, 2,000 to a non-certified or a non-teacher who's making on the low end of our pay scale, that's a significant raise
Yes.
per year. Okay.
Yep, we can do that. Again, the only one I can't do that for is bus drivers because of the state requirement.
Right.
You could go above and beyond,
Yes.
so, you know, we can give them the 2% and you can say, I wanna give another $1,000 as well.
I'd like
If we-
for it to be more advantageous to the folks at the lower end of the scale.
Yes. And you can, where it will get hard for me is back to what Mr. Bradshaw wanted last year. This percent up to this amount, and then that, from that amount, it's frozen. That is really hard with our salary schedules. It's almost like I'm gonna have to go in and force salaries, so that one will be really hard. But what we could do, Mr. Dukes, to your point, was athletics, I wanna give them 1%, but assistants, I wanna give $2,000. If we stick in the scales that we have, and I'm not sure if these match all of the scales that we have, this is how I broke it up, from the worksheet I was working on. This is a lot of our scales, and it may match exactly. Well, we can do that. We could say, the assistant scale, I want everybody to get $2,000. The nursing scale, I want everybody to get 2%. We can absolutely do that.
What did we do last year?
2% and a step. For non-teachers and teachers was 2,000 and a step.
Yeah, percentages always make sense to me. I mean, just as being fair across the board. Instead of saying, hey, I'm giving $2,000, well, that's a 10% raise for a first-year teacher and a 2% raise for, or 4 and 2, you know, but anyway.
It will ultimately, at some point, come out to wash when the board decides to do a salary study. If we give the larger raises to custodian, assistants, whatever, whenever the board does decide to do a salary study, they're probably gonna be in line or above. They may not get a raise, where secretaries or something else may get a $10,000 raise, and that's kinda hard at that point too. Just have to understand, it's gonna hit at something. Mr. Thompson?
I have one quick question and 2 quick points, because I
Sure.
recognize this has sort of turned into a work session. There was a comment about personnel changes that the board had approved to the tune of $360,000. There was a line item, I think it was on the top of the page, you
Yes,
got
sir.
up
Yes,
here.
if the board didn't approve some of those, because some of them were, again, Cheryl Page in my office, my assistant, retired, and
Okay.
we did not replace her, we took another position and
Okay.
consolidated it, so we saved that entire savings.
Okay.
Ms. Elrod had an instructional assistant, that position, so that was not something that the board approved, it was something that we just absorbed in-house
Okay.
from Dr. Kelly's recommendation. And then some, behavioral ISS positions have been absorbed in. There's only been one change that the board has approved, that there was a little bit of, or the board will be approving, that has some, savings in.
And the recommendation to eliminate the STEM at Nevitt Forest, where'd that come from?
Title I, that was, the principal looked at his Title I budget.
Okay.
That was not a recommendation from the administration. Not saying that we didn't support him, but I'm just
Okay.
saying, that was not directed from the top down.
2 quick points for the board. I would love to see, personally, we don't tend to deal with the school level with the budget, and I've heard the comment about not touching the school level. I would like to see Robert Anderson Middle School in here personally for the board to hear what is needed over at that school. And then as far as the impacts to STEM, I would like the board to consider how we might save STEM, so to speak, as much as we can, to the degree it's impacted. I don't have a full assessment of the degree it's been impacted, but just wanted to make those points.
Does Homeland Park still have their STEM teacher?
They will not understand.
Okay.
I can provide more for that in executive session.
Okay. Mr. Thompson mentioned this has turned into a work session. I would like for us to consider, as we get more information from the state, to have a work session.
Dr. Kelly and I talked about that as well. I think you will probably have one after spring break, as long as we get some additional information. I know that you guys have, several recommendations tonight that will impact the line item that Mr. Thompson is talking about. And hopefully, after we get through spring break, we'll have some additional numbers as well. Plus, as you can see, there's not a lot of funds that are left after we do some of the mandated things. So if you, I think the board is gonna have to absolutely take some votes and make some decisions in April on what we can do, so that we can provide you first reading in May. So we probably will need a work session in April so you guys can vote. So we want y'all to have good information. So even prior to the work session, if I have information, Dr. Kelly has approved that information, then one of us will send that out to you so you have it. You can be thinking about it, and anything that you want us to be calculating, we'll be glad to do that as well.
Thank you.
Could you send us that worksheet that you just showed us? Thank you.
To Mr. Thompson's point, I would like to see us look at fully funding the STEM position that's being absorbed or eliminated. I'd like to see that brought back and in a permanent stay. I think that's something very needed. And also, I think, to his point about Robert Anderson, I'd like to see us seek the input of Mr. Noble and what he needs over there, and I'd like to see us fully fund whatever additional positions he needs over there to
Yes, sir, and we've had those budget meetings with each of the principal where they bring the items that they're wanting and needing for their school as we work through that. And the principal has the responsibility of looking at his school and doing a needs assessment and deciding within, especially our Title I schools, their Title I plan and what that plan can absorb and help with. Robert Anderson is our highest student enrollment of a Title I school, and just this past year, they received over $900,000 in their Title I funding. So that plan can assist and help and above and beyond what general fund does, and so we do. Kelly Elrod, Kim Morgan, they both work hand in hand with Mike Noble to ensure that the needs that at Robert Anderson can be and use that funding for that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd like to see us do some of those 2 points as well.
It's all that sounds good, and we will have to have a work study. We will have to have that in April. So we'll have to figure out a day that we need to do that, because these nights are running long. You finished?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, our next line is action items. A, February the 17th, 2026 board meeting minutes. We have already looked at those, and we have those for February the 17th meeting have been distributed. Are there any corrections to the minutes? No corrections to the minutes?
Madam Chair, I make a motion that we accept the minutes as presented.
I'll second it.
So it has been second that we will accept the minutes as presented. Is there any discussion? No discussion? Could I get a raise of hand? Same with that. So 8.
Can we have it put into the minutes that Ms. Burst left the meeting so we'll understand why only 8 voted? Thank you.
And is she okay?
Yeah, she just, they called, I think.
Okay.
Just after the last one.
All right, thank you.
Oh, okay, thank you. Okay, now we're down to policy revisions. The first one is A, policy BID, board member compensation and expenses. This is our second reading on that.
Yes, ma'am. Madam Chair, the second reading of policy BID, board member compensation and expenses, has been presented by the Board of Trustees' request. So I will read the changes that we have for that policy, and then I'll turn it over to you. So we struck through the first line of that policy. Board members receive no compensation for their services as a member or officer of the board. And then we added 2 additional paragraphs, and they read as, each board member will receive $500 per month as compensation. The chairman of the board will receive $550 per month as compensation. Beginning fiscal year 2027, board members will receive an annual increase equivalent to the Social Security Administration cost of living adjustment. If any board member wishes to decline compensation, those funds will remain in the school district general fund. Board member compensation will begin with seats 2, 5, 6, and at-large in 2026. After the certification and swearing in of board members after the 2026 general election, board member compensation will begin with seats 1, 3, 4, 7, and at-large in 2028. After the certification and swearing in of board members after the 2028 general election. Additionally, we struck through examples, Southeast Conference, National School Boards Conference, and those are all the additions and deletions that were made to policy BID.
Madam Chair, I have a point of order on this policy.
Yes, that's your point of order.
In reference to policy BID, I have one point of order with 5 breaches of the rules from last month. I'll show those breaches that we broke board policy and parliamentary procedure by taking 2 votes on policy BID. I contend the first vote on BID, which failed 4-4, was the legitimate vote, and the second vote, which passed 5-4, was an invalid vote because the second vote was based on several flawed assumptions and some inaccurate information that was given. As a reminder for everyone, at last month's meeting, we had one board member, it was Mr. K, who was not in actual attendance at the meeting, but who attended via teleconference. Mr. K failed to vote on policy BID, and when he had the opportunity, he did not vote, which resulted in a 4-4 tie, and thus policy BID failed to pass. Then a second vote on BID was held using the identical motion later in the evening, based on an assertion about Mr. Bradshaw that we took away Mr. K's, and I quote, elected right to vote. In addition, Mr. Bradshaw stated that this board had a quote, I quote, common practice that we have done up until this point, and we didn't vote to take that right away, unquote. The common practice referred to has allowed board members to vote by phone or computer since COVID. Mr. Price commented this was...
Excuse me, we
Yes.
want to wait and do this after the debate.
I'm sorry? You want to do it?
She can rule on the point of order. The discussion would be in a debate, but she can rule on the point of order without debate. But you would be able to, if you appeal, then you bring up anything you want in debate.
Okay, that'd be fine.
So now you say the point of order is either well taken if you agree with them, or not well taken if you disagree and you support your previous ruling.
Okay, my, not well taken, because I thought we went back over it and he did vote.
Okay, that's fine. So you said not well taken.
Okay, not well taken.
I'd like to appeal that, Madam Chair.
This is, you know, the chair is to,
Is appealed.
is appealed.
So now you can speak in argument for your perspective.
Yeah, because we went back over that, Dr.
Can I?
Yes.
After she has the right to speak, and then anyone else. So
Okay.
when you're done speaking, then you can open it up to anybody else.
Okay, well, why we said that, because I think that we realized that he hadn't voted, and we went back and we let him vote, and he did vote. So, Mr. Bradshaw, would you like to say what?
Yes, I think, after my name was dragged through the mud over there, I thought I would, comment that I did say that the state had passed the law that says you can vote electronically. And in section 30-4-20 of state law, talking about meetings, which says a meeting is a quorum, whether corporal or by means of electronic equipment.
Okay.
So that pretty much,
Say that again?
it says, it talks about the meeting, which says a meeting is a quorum whether corporal or by means of electronic equipment.
Right, and that's the Freedom of Information Act that has some specific rules in regard to that. I would say, and going back to, the quote I mentioned, Mr. Bradshaw, I went back and listened to it several times. You may have said it a couple different ways, but my contention is Mr. K did not have a right to vote, and here's the reason why. Based on what you said, state law, it was not a state law, it was an executive order. And I'll go through, I've got 5 breaches, and we can talk about those after that. So you also mentioned a common practice, which was the common practice which we had been doing since COVID, because one of the executive
Because the law
orders.
had been changed.
The law wasn't changed. It was an executive order which has the force of law, but once the executive order expires, it's gone. So it's not a law. It was an executive order. But that continued, and that expired on June the 7th, 2021. So for 5, 6 years, the board's been doing that, which became a common practice. And it was no argument about it, and it was done. So as I said, what Governor McMaster stated in the executive order, and I'll just summarize, it allowed public participation, be it virtual or other remote or alternative means. So he did 30 executive orders. The first one was in 2020, and then a year later, on May the 22nd, 2021, he did his 30th and final pandemic order, and that was valid for 15 days. So 15 days from May 22nd, well, it was June the 6th. It expired on June the 6th, and on June the 7th, he had a press conference at which time he said, he announced during the press conference that the state's no longer under state of emergency due to coronavirus. He said there will not be a 31st executive order. With that statement, it ended all executive orders that were put in place during the pandemic. So basically, the virtual meetings were not allowed anymore. So that's one piece of information that we were given that was not factual. So we were not under that executive order, and actually we're not in line with what we should have been doing. In addition, Madam Chair, you stated we didn't have a policy related to Mr. K voting from home, and used that reason to allow him to vote, when in fact, not having a policy is precisely the reason he should not have been allowed to vote. And in just a few minutes, we're going to see a policy change to policy BEDF to make that change, saying that a person can vote at home, but that was not in place. So saying we didn't have a policy, we should not have allowed him to vote, because we didn't have a policy saying he could. So that was an illegitimate vote. When we don't have a policy in that regard, then we fall back, according to our policy, we fall back on Robert's Rules. And Robert's Rules is clear. In section 4556, it says, it's a fundamental principle of parliamentary law that the right to vote is limited to the members of an organization who are actually present. Okay, actually present at the time the vote is taken in a regular or properly called meeting. Consequently, a board member must be physically present in order to participate in the vote, unless the board has formally adopted rules to allowing it, which it has not done. And like I said, we're about to see that policy in a few minutes, changing it. So it was not in place. With these facts being established, I contend Mr. K really never had the right. It was argued that we were taking his rights away, when in fact he never, the COVID rule, executive order was gone. Section 4556 of Robert's Rules says he doesn't have that right as not being present. And then going back to that common practice, Robert's Rules, section 225 states, if a customary practice or common practice, your words, is or becomes in conflict with parliamentary authority or any written rule and a point of order citing the conflict is raised at any time, which I'm doing now, Mr. Thompson did at the time, the custom falls to the ground, and the conflicting provision in the parliamentary authority or written rule must thereafter be complied with. So that common practice runs headlong into what parliamentary procedure says, and
So,
parliamentary procedure
point of order.
wins.
Can I do a point of order? During a point?
Yes, because we're in
Yeah, but
discussion.
he has his time for debate, so he, once his 10 minutes is over, then, or however you,
Yeah,
yeah.
So-
go ahead.
I got just a few, because this is playing by the rules. I mean, that's all this is about. So, Madam Chair, my first point of order is the remote vote by Mr. Kay on the second vote was based on a COVID-era executive order which expired on June 6, 2021. And the vote by an absent board member breaks Robert's Rules, Section 4556. Second point of order, or my second portion to this point of order, it's one point of order with 5 different sections. The second section is that our common practice allowing an absent board member to vote should have fallen to the ground according to Robert's Rules 225. My third piece is the fact that we had no policy allowing a remote vote. In the absence of a policy, Robert's Rules prevails, which I have noted does not allow a vote by an absentee board member. The fourth section is the fact that our board policy and the Freedom of Information Act requires that our board to report in our minutes all board members who are present and absent. There's no in between, okay? Those are the only 2 choices.
But it doesn't say what present is.
The minutes of last month's meeting were unanimously approved tonight. These minutes do not document Mr. Kay as being present. He is correctly documented as having attended the meeting via conference call. So everyone's agreed that he wasn't present by approving the minutes. Thus, he shouldn't have voted. And my fifth section is regarding the vote on BID, which failed, the first one, on a 4-4 vote. Robert's Rules 38-1 does not allow the renewal of the same motion for a second vote. That rule states, and I quote, "Renewal of a motion is limited by the basic principle that an assembly cannot be asked to decide the same or substantially the same question twice during one session. A session is a board meeting." Our policy BEDF, the one we're about to look at, says board members voting on the prevailing side of any issue may move to reconsider an item at the same meeting. That motion is not debatable. So the losing side is the one that renewed that vote. So I believe that rule was also violated. And lastly, Robert's Rules 23-8, there is a remedy for the inclusion of improper votes. And it says, if the announced result of a vote included votes cast in violation of a fundamental principle of parliamentary law, such as a vote cast by an absent member, a point of order can be raised so long as the decision arrived at as a result of the vote has continuing force and effect. If there is any possibility the vote would have affected the outcome, the result of the vote must be declared invalid if the point of order is sustained. So based on these 5 breaches, Madam Chair, the remedy, I think the 5-4 vote should be disallowed, resulting in the second vote or the first vote to be in place, which was the 4-4 vote, which failed. So I'll yield to a decision on that, Madam Chair.
Madam Chair?
No, wait.
So anybody can speak once during debate. You get to speak twice. So if anybody who hasn't spoken, you can see if anybody who hasn't spoken wants to
Okay.
speak.
I
And you'll
can't,
speak at the very end, but anyone else who wants to speak, let them speak, and then you'll speak once more at the end.
Madam Chair,
wait a minute, I'm gonna speak right now.
Yeah, so you'll speak at the end. So let everybody else speak.
Okay.
And then you'll speak at the end.
Okay, go ahead.
We do have our attorney here today. Since none of us up here are attorneys, I'd like to get our attorney's view on her thoughts.
Well, I was not here for the previous meeting and did not hear any of the previous discussions. And we do have a parliamentarian. He can advise you better than I can on this particular issue. There is always a way that you can cure issues, going forward, even if it takes another vote tonight.
thank you.
As a first reading, or at a subsequent meeting. But there's a way you
Thank you, that does answer my question.
Madam
Yeah,
Chair.
Let me say this first. First, I need to say this. Mr.
Okay.
K has been absent several times, and Mr. K has been on the phone several times. Mr. K has voted on the phone several times, but I can't understand why that night and tonight all of this is going on and we haven't gotten down to BDEF yet. So what happened then, and we've already approved the minutes of that, why are we still discussing that when he has done this before? So now you're telling me that I'm wrong because we let it go on to then. So now I want to say that you're wrong for still bringing this up until we get down to this policy that we're doing.
Madam Chair,
Mr. K?
being that tonight, under Section 8 action items, Bullet A, we are under policy revisions. I'm sorry, Bullet B, under Bullet B, we're dealing with the board member compensation and expenses. We're dealing with policy revisions. So I make a motion that we take a vote for this particular policy, this particular motion that we were dealing with. I'd make a motion that we take a vote regarding this particular policy.
A new motion is not currently in order. There'll be a vote on this appeal.
We could vote on the appeal, but not.
Madam Chair, I'd like to answer your question.
Go ahead, answer it.
No, I'm gonna speak first. We
Oh,
have
you
been-
go ahead.
Who's got the floor?
I have asked, you've had your time. Mr. Dukes, I think you were out one time last year with the flu and you voted remotely. This has been, we need to clear up the provision, the policy, but this has been an accepted practice since COVID. And all of a sudden, when something doesn't go your way, we wanna
Thank you.
change it. Do we go all the way back to the end of the executive order and redo votes from previous boards? So
He has no answer for that because this is about wasting time and this is about trying to get what he wants done. Okay? So he doesn't have an answer for that.
I do have an answer for that, and I'd like to.
Okay. We've all done
I have an
our.
Make
answer.
a motion that we just postpone this to another time.
No. No,
We
you
can't postpone it.
Anyone who hasn't spoken yet should be able to speak.
Anyone who hasn't spoken can speak now. You've spoken. Mr. Thompson?
I think the issue was raised by me with a parliamentary inquiry prior to this vote last time. It was the beginning of the meeting, and I raised the question and asserted that because there was question about it, I thought it would be better for us to, try to wait until Mr. K was present, which I don't have any problem finding a way, as the attorney said, a way to cure this. I do think Mr. Dukes has a point about following the rules, and he's bringing it up now because a vote was accepted. A process happened last time that we are sort of discussing now. But the initial question came at the beginning of the last meeting. It was before any votes were taken, and I raised that question. And I would just comment that I think Mr. Dukes is trying to make sure that we get this right. I would contend, especially on this topic, we need to get it right. And the problem is once you are truly playing by the rules, then it is burdensome to some folks when those rules are broken and there's an attempt to remedy it. So I understand the frustration, but at the same time, I wanted to clarify, I was the one that brought it up initially, and it was before any votes were cast is when I called this into question. So I don't think Mr. Dukes is raising this because it didn't go his way.
Well, it might not be. It might not be, though.
After any discussion, you would ask, shall the decision of the chair be sustained? If people vote to sustain, then it just keeps your ruling. If they vote against, then it would be opposed, and then that would overrule the previous. So you would say, shall the decision of the chair be sustained?
Can I ask a point of order first? I believe parliamentary procedure allows each person to speak twice.
Once in an appeal, you speak once. Specific rules for appeal is to speak once.
Once?
Just for appeal.
Okay.
Okay, so shall the decision of the chair be sustained?
Those in favor say aye.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
So you have
Nay,
Ask for a nay?
nay,
Nay.
3.
the decision of
Three
the chair
different.
is sustained.
Okay,
The
I'd-
decision of the chair is sustained.
I'd like to appeal that, Madam Chair, for,
You can't appeal an appeal.
You
to
can't
the-
appeal,
Cannot
unappeal.
to the board.
That is the decision of the board.
That is the decision of the board. Good, I'm glad you're here tonight.
Thank you.
Okay,
So now you're stating that you're on this vote, BID.
we still policy BID, board member compensation and expenses. This is the second reading for this. I think the superintendent read it out.
Madam Chair, I make a motion that we accept board policy BID, board member compensation expenses for second reading.
Okay.
So the motion is on policy BID.
Now I have to read that again, okay. The motion is on, policy BID, board member compensation and expenses, and this is our second reading. Could I get a motion?
Madam Chair, I made a motion.
You made a motion, could I get
Second.
second? So it's been properly second that we will discuss policy BID, board member compensation. Could I get a vote?
No, ma'am.
No.
Madam Chair,
Discussion. Go ahead, discussion?
Madam Chair,
Yes.
at the last meeting, I had requested that section 591350 at the very bottom of the policy, it states compensation of board members, which almost matches the title to the policy, compensation and expenses of board members. Section 591350 states, members of the County Board of Education or Board of Trustees may serve without pay. Each
Okay.
member of the board may receive a per diem for attendance at board meetings and may be paid mileage to and from such meetings. No member may receive per diem and mileage unless in actual attendance. The key word here is actual attendance upon a meeting of the board. When any member of the board is directed to travel outside the county or school district on official business of the board, he may be allowed actual expenses incurred as a result. I'd asked for that to be included. It was not. So in light of that, I'd like to make a request that, I'd like to make a secondary motion that we amend policy BID to include the text associated with the legal reference listed on the bottom of the policy, that's 591350. Simply put, take the actual text and let it be a part of the policy. As I mentioned last meeting, reading this policy without somebody knowing what that reference is or looking at that reference, a person could actually not attend any
Make the
board
motion
meeting.
and not debate.
You heard my motion. It is to amend the policy to include the text associated with the legal
Is there a
reference listed
second?
on the bottom.
I'll second it.
It's been properly second,
It has been
moved and second that the,
That the text associated with the legal reference listed on the bottom, which is 591350, be, the full text be included as a part of the policy.
Is there any
I
discussion?
thought that was in the policy. I thought that was in the policy.
Just like to follow the law.
Now
Let
you
me-
asked
let
for
me-
ask for discussion.
Is there
Little
the discussion, Mr. Price?
In Mr. Duke's, policy here, I see the key word says may, does not say may not. May, so that's optional, is the way I interpret may.
Read the whole
That's what we
sentence.
voted on.
Please read
It
this.
may says may, doesn't says cannot.
May serve without
May
pay.
doesn't say must serve without pay.
The next sentence says you can get paid, but you have to
Yeah.
be in the meeting.
Madam Chair.
Oh,
This was forwarded to and run by the Ethics Commission. They advised us on this, and we have received our advisory from them. They did approve what we did submit to them, and so I make a motion that we move, I'd suggest that we move forward.
Madam Chair, get too, that is incorrect. The Ethics Commission does not rule on 59-1350. It's not a part of the Ethics Act. Okay, that would be under the Attorney General. And I asked for that to be sent to the Attorney General to get
And
their
it,
opinion.
and it was, and they sent it back.
No, ma'am. That was not what Kyle's told us.
Yes, ma'am.
So, my turn. 59-1350 is a state law.
Correct.
It applies to everyone in the state. Why should we specifically tie this into one of our policies when it is
Already
a
in
state law?
Yeah, when it's already
Do you want me to answer that?
One
No.
person's
Just
speaking
because
at
he
a time.
wants, let's see.
I think it answers itself.
Is there any further discussion
Is
on the
there
amendment?
Any further discussion on the amendment?
Yes, I recommend that we not accept his amendment.
Is there any further discussion?
Any further discussion?
The question is on the amendment.
The question is on the amendment of what Mr. Duke said about the policy, but I thought
Those
that
in
was
favor
in.
of the amendments,
Those
say
that are in favor of the amendment,
raise your hand.
raise your hand.
Those opposed to the amendment, raise your hand.
Those opposed to the amendment,
I'm sorry, I voted in favor. Sorry.
So,
I'm sorry.
Get your vote for,
Voted.
get your vote for in favor.
okay, in
It's three.
favor,
In favor of the amendment?
In favor of the amendment, Mr.
Favor of the
Duke?
amendment, yes.
Okay.
Those opposed.
now opposed.
The amendment fails.
The amendment
The
fails.
question is now on the main motion.
Now the question is on the motion.
So back, is there any further discussion?
Is there any further discussion?
Does anybody believe there should be any stipulations to the pay? Like I know, I think Mr. Dukes' point was being in attendance, for example. Are there any other opinions about whether there should be any other stipulations? Just duly elected to the board would be sufficient?
Okay.
Is there any further discussion?
Any further discussion?
The question is now on the main motion.
Now the question is on the motion of A, policy BID.
Those in favor say aye.
Those in favor of the motion of this, raise your hands.
Those opposed?
Those opposed, same thing, hands. Failed.
The motion is adopted.
The motion is adopted, you failed it.
Did
Okay.
you?
Motion is adopted. Okay.
Next item.
Next one on the, is action item B, policy IKE, promotion and retention, second reading.
Yes, ma'am, Madam Chair, I recommend approval of the second reading of policy IKE, promotion and retention. There were no recommended changes to the first reading of the policy. The following revisions are listed as I read them. Under the promotion section, language stated as reading in grade 1 and grade 2 is changed to English language arts. We're removing the sentence, students with individualized education plans, IEPs will be promoted to the next grade upon satisfactory completion of IEP requirements unless their IEP specify otherwise. We are also removing the words through 5. We're adding additional language in grade 3. Students in grade 3 must meet the promotion criteria established by the Read to Succeed Act, and state is also added to other assessments as determined by the district. We're adding a new section, grades 4 and 5. Students will show mastery of grade level standards in core subject areas, including English language arts, mathematics, science, and social studies standards. Mastery will be evidenced by diagnostic test results, other assessments as determined by the district, and classroom performance as defined by the South Carolina Accountability Act, EAA, of 1988. We are removing the words retention, grades 3 through 8. That whole section. We're adding new sections, retention of third grade students. Act 114, Read to Succeed legislation requires that the beginning with the 2024-2025 school year, a student must be retained in the third grade if the student fails to demonstrate reading proficiency by scoring does not meet expectations on SC Ready reading. A student may be exempt for good cause from the mandatory retention, but shall continue to receive instructional support and services and reading intervention appropriate for their age and reading level. We additionally are adding a section titled Retention of Multilingual Learners. Multilingual learners may not be retained solely due to a lack of English proficiency. Adding another section, Retention of Students with Disabilities or Suspected Disabilities. The retention of a student with an identified or suspected disability should be considered through the team process outlined in the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act. We are revising the high school and adult education grades 9 through 12 student classification section, adding the wording to in accordance with the in accordance with state accountability measures, and updating course requirements for grades 9 to 10, grade 10 to 11, and grade 11 to 12. We are revising the implementation section in the second paragraph in grades 3 through 12. We are adding the following words to this sentence. A final grade is determined by computing the arithmetic mean of the numerical grades earned at the end of each grading period, with the exception of courses with an end-of-course exam in kindergarten and grades 1 and 2. And we are removing the words, a final grade is determined, removing by teacher judgment, and replacing that with based. In the grade 3 through 5 section revisions, I'll read the changes. Students in grade 3 failing 1 or 2 of the core subjects, English, language arts, mathematics, science, or social studies, may be placed in the next grade level and will be provided with interventions to address deficiencies. Students in grades 4 and 5 failing 1 of the 2 core subjects, English, language arts, mathematics, science, or social studies, may be placed in the next grade level and will be provided with interventions to address deficiencies. Again, changing the verb in students in grades 3 through 5 failing both English, language arts, and mathematics may be retained in their present grade. Grades 6 through 8 section revisions. Again, we are changing the wording to add may be placed in the next grade level and will be provided with interventions to address deficiencies. The last bulleted item for parents' appeal, we are taking out the words place on probation and changing the word to promote. So it reads, parents may appeal the decisions to retain, promote, or require summer school. And then the last revisions in the last section, information to parents and legal guardians section, we are revising the sentence to read, the district will distribute and or make every student and parent legal guardian aware of this promotion retention policy at the beginning of the academic year, and changing the last sentence to say the district will also make every effort to educate and inform parents, legal guardians, and students through the district information packet and or in school handbooks, through newsletters, and at, and instead of saying PTA and PTO, we're putting in parent meetings.
So, see if there's a motion for policy IKE. There's a motion and a second.
Is there a motion for policy IKE?
Madam Chair, I make a motion that we accept the submitted changes to policy IKE and approve it for second reading.
Second.
So I do have a motion
Motion and a second.
and a second.
Is there discussion?
Is there any discussion?
Dr. Kelly, would you say we're lowering the bar for our students by
No,
passing
sir.
this policy?
No, sir, we are actually implementing and making sure the laws that are put into place, the Act 284 and the graduation requirements are listed into our policy.
And what is driving this is getting in line with state law?
Yes, sir. Act 284 talked about, we had in our policy prior different procedures that we would utilize for retention and placement, and Act 284 has put several things in law, considering third grade and does not need an exemptions, good cause exemptions, and so we're ensuring that our policy is in line with that law.
Thank you.
Any other discussion? So I have a motion and a second to go ahead and
Policy IKE.
policy IKE,
Second reading.
second reading.
Those in favor say
Those in favor say
aye.
aye. Or raise your hand.
Those opposed.
Those opposed? None opposed.
Motion is adopted.
Motion is adopted. Policy BEDF, voting method of board meetings.
Yes, ma'am, Madam Chair. I recommend approval of the first reading of policy BEDF voting method at board meetings. The revisions and additions to the policy are as follows. So on your policy that you have before you, you'll see the initial wording of the policy is struck through. The red has been added, so I will read that. A majority of members serving on the board shall constitute a quorum for the conduct of business at any meeting. No official board action can be taken without a quorum being present. The only business that can be transacted in the absence of a quorum is to take measures to obtain a quorum, fix the time to which to adjourn, or take a recess. A board member present but disqualified from voting on a question by state law due to a conflict of interest shall be counted present for purposes of a quorum. Board members who attend any regular, special, or emergency meeting of the board by electronic means such as telephone or video teleconferencing shall be considered present for all purposes. Board members attending by electronic means may vote on all matters, and their vote shall count as if they were physically present. Board members in attendance by electronic means shall have all rights, including but not limited to the right to make motions, second motions, and discuss and vote on all matters under consideration by the board. Members joining or leaving electronically should announce themselves, and members are responsible for their own connections. The chair has authority to mute, disconnect a connection causing interference, subject to appeal. Members may request a quorum call if a connection drops. A roll call vote may be required by any member of the board. The vote on every question shall be recorded in the minutes. If a board member wishes to recuse himself or herself, the board member shall give reason for the recusal and document that reason as provided by law. No secret ballots will be used. There will be no representation by proxy of any member of the board at any time. All members are authorized to speak on issues, offer and second motions, and vote. Board members voting on the prevailing side of an issue may move to reconsider an item at the same meeting. The presiding member will have the rights of speaking to, offering, and seconding motions and voting on all items of business.
Ask for a motion in a second on
A
BEDF.
motion and a second for BEDF, voting methods of board meetings.
Madam Chair, I make a motion that we accept policy BEDF, first reading.
Make a second.
It's been moved and second that we will accept policy BEDF. Can I, discussion?
Yes, ma'am, Madam Chair, here we are again. This is the policy I was referring to earlier, and what we're saying here is we should have had a policy so that board members on the phone or video could vote. But I do have specific questions. In the first sentence, red sentence, a majority of members serving on the board shall constitute a quorum. Are we going to count a person on the phone as a part of the quorum?
They're in attendance.
Okay, so if they're in attendance, all right, are we going to allow that person to participate in the executive session? Because when we go into executive session, we shut all the cameras off, we shut the microphones off, but yet we're going to have a line into a person's house. We cannot guarantee confidentiality of anything in an executive session. And I think we open ourselves up to a potential lawsuit in that case, because we can't leave and say anything outside of this room after executive session, but yet we're gonna have a line going to somebody's house, and we don't know who's there, how many people's there, if it's being recorded, if it's not being recorded. So I have a problem with, as you've heard, with people voting or being on the phone. I think we need to look at more closely the Freedom of Information Act, because as I recall reading over that, it requires people to be able to see and hear. When we had the phone sitting right there, we had a hard time hearing. The public couldn't hear. I know they can't hear at home from what we had last time, so we either need to improve that if this is the way this is going. But, so a quorum that person would count for a quorum. I have a problem with that. But the executive session, I think, opens us up to lawsuits. I'll give you another quick example. On Monday, I had to go to the district office and pick up a packet. Everybody's gotten this packet for tonight's executive session. It could not be, I couldn't send anybody by proxy to pick it up for me. I had to get it myself. It couldn't be put in my box because of violations of HIPAA or confidentiality laws. But yet, we're going to put somebody on the speaker in an executive session. I think that just is very dangerous.
Well, that's no different than laying that package down and somebody picking it up, looking at it at home either.
Well, you
No,
put
we're-
me in my box many days, so I don't know about that. But I would like to discuss that about being on the phone, especially when you're in executive session. And that is something, you don't know who's at that house, you don't know what's going on. I do agree with that.
Madam Chair, I also agree with that, but it also brings up the circumstance of that person, that board member, would still be here after executive session and would still have the right to vote in executive session. I mean, not
In open session.
In open session, if he were still here. It makes it kind of difficult for him to vote when he wasn't participating.
That's correct.
In executive session. So how would you suggest that we fix that? I would suggest that maybe a Zoom call would be more in order, so we would know the surroundings of that person. At least could see the room.
He's welcome to make a motion to amend. Otherwise, ask for any further discussion if you just want to vote on it.
We're still discussing.
I'd like
Yeah, we
to,
still
if I could
discussing.
respond to Mr., and I think I get two chances, respond to Mr. Bradshaw. Back during COVID, we were doing all electronic Zoom calls, Google Meets, and the stories were comical at times, coming from teachers with students on the computer, and all of a sudden, people coming in the background, sometimes not fully clothed. There were a lot of crazy things that we saw and heard. So just the fact that we could be discussing highly confidential, and we will be discussing highly confidential information that we are bound by law not to leave this room is going to be piped out. And to your point, Mr. Bradshaw, if we have to cut them off for executive session to be safe, then it's not fair to them to vote and not know the information. So I don't know how to resolve it. That's the concern with the telephone and the Zoom calls for board meeting and a person being in attendance that way.
If someone wants to make an amendment.
Maybe the lawyer could shed some light on that. What she thinks.
Browsing.
I agree.
Electronic meetings are specifically allowed by Robert's Rules of Order and the South Carolina Freedom of Information Act, and they're routinely done by school boards around the state. And just like when you're in executive session, you can't record your meetings, y'all have a duty not to do that. You can't have your phone out recording. You would have a duty to each other not to be recording meetings and doing things improperly. So you could put things into procedure and policy that you need to be in a secure location where other people are not present for executive session. But it is allowed by Robert's Rules of Order. It is allowed by the Freedom of Information Act, and it is done routinely by school boards all across the state. Y'all can put in place what procedures you want to have there, like safeguards. But legally, it is allowed. How y'all implement it is up to you as a school board, or whether you don't want to implement it, you don't have to. It's up to you as a school board. It's a school board decision. But it is allowed.
No, okay.
So I have not made any substitute motions or anything. So
Someone can make an amendment if they wish to make an amendment.
I would suggest that we approve it on first reading and work on it between now and second.
We still have discussion.
So I guess there would be nothing keeping this board from just going completely virtual. If there's no, if you're, infirmed or you're hospitalized, there are no conditions to appear in virtually? Would there ever be, the way we're gonna shape this policy, why don't we just all stay home? I feel like the spirit of America is to do business out in front of the public, and I know a virtual meeting could potentially accomplish that. But I'm concerned about someone not necessarily operating in good faith and just sitting it out for the rest of the time. Should we put a stipulation in there if it is passed about text message, like it talks about, you can use a telephone? Should we clarify that you can't text, you can't be texting your votes? And then finally, would the board be open for public comment to call in that fashion or appear virtually?
Madam Chair, as it relates to this question about members appearing electronically, I think as duly elected members of this board, At some point, we have to rely and trust the integrity of those who are elected by their constituents. And I think that everyone sitting here in good faith, as Mr. Thompson stated, would do what is right by the people and by the office in which they hold, and not allow any breaches of any sensitive information, of any confidentiality, and so forth. So I would like to follow with approval of Mr. Bradshaw's motion.
I did not make the motion. I
Did you-
just made a suggestion.
Suggestions.
Any further discussion?
Any further discussion?
Question is on policy BEDF first reading.
Yeah.
Those in favor?
Those in favor of policy BEDF first reading, show by hands. The first reading of it.
Those opposed?
Those opposed,
The ayes have it. First reading is adopted.
first reading is adopted.
Next item of business is.
Okay, next item of business is BEDC.
Yes, ma'am. Madam Chair, I recommend the deletion of policy BEDC quorum, the revisions and additions to the policy we just discussed, BEDF, voting methods at board meetings, presented for first reading, incorporates the intent of policy BEDC quorum.
Okay,
Madam Chair, I make a motion that we accept this policy BEDC deletion as presented by the superintendent on first reading.
is there any discussion?
We need a second first.
Second, is there any discussion? With no discussion, then policy BEDC quorum delete policy,
We need to vote.
raise your hand.
Those opposed?
Those opposed, the same.
The motion is adopted.
The motion is adopted to delete the policy
On first reading.
on first reading.
Can we get clar,
6-2.
no, we keep saying on first reading, and last time I got a little confused. We just approved the first reading of
Yes,
it.
sir.
Okay,
Right.
but second come, but not
Yes, sir.
on first reading.
Right.
So I think, I don't want to get to the second
Correct.
meeting expecting it, and
Right.
I get told that it was passed on first. So
Correct.
we passed the first reading of the.
This is past the first
Yeah.
reading.
Correct.
I believe
Yes,
you're correct,
It's
Mr.
just the
Dukes.
wording. It's just the wording.
Okay, next one is policy GDC, support staff, leaves and absences.
Yes, ma'am. Madam Chair, I recommend approval of the first reading of policy GDC, support staff leaves and absences. The following additions have been added beneath the sick leave section of the policy. And it reads, at the end of each fiscal year, the district will reimburse employees at a designated rate for any unused accumulated sick leave exceeding 90 days. The rate will be determined annually during the budget process.
Madam Chair, I make a motion that we accept this first reading policy GDC, support staff leaves and absences.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? With no discussion, then those in favor of policy GDC, support staff leave and absence, let's show by show of hands.
Those opposed?
It's
Those
unanimous.
opposed? No, you should
No,
still.
those opposed, well, wasn't nobody, okay.
So
Okay.
The motion is adopted.
So the motion is adopted, DC, support staff leaves and absence,
First reading.
first reading. Policy GCC, professional staff leave and absence.
Madam Chair, I recommend approval of the first reading of policy GCC, professional staff leaves and absences. The following additions have been added beneath the sick leave section of the policy. At the end of each fiscal year, the district will reimburse employees at a designated rate for any unused accumulated sick leave exceeding 90 days. The rate will be determined annually during the budget process.
Madam Chair, I make a motion that we accept policy GCC as presented, first reading.
I'll make a second.
So it's been properly, is there any discussion?
Yes, Madam Chair, as I mentioned, when Ms. Hurd was up here last year, when we were going through the budget process, I brought this forward and also brought forward with it the folks who get paid the 90 days or over the 90 days would be folks who don't earn vacation. I don't believe we need to change anything on the policy we just passed, because we wouldn't have any non-certified staff. Well, I guess we would. No, let me go forward. So I'd like to add that to this piece, the professional leaves and absences, to the policy, that only those that qualify are those that do not earn vacation. Reason is, folks who earn vacation can cash those days in at the end. Can be quite significant. This is for people who, in my opinion, are just really trying their best to get by, and they're working hard, and if they drag into work, they could call in sick, but they drag into work to try to help themselves if they know they could get paid over those 90 days. So I'd like to add, I guess I'm making a motion to amend the policy to add the requirement that only those being paid over the 90 days would be those who do not earn vacation.
Is there a second?
I don't understand.
Is there a second?
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
You might want to get it in writing.
Yeah, may want to get that in writing. I don't understand.
I got it.
Okay, but I don't understand what he's talking about.
Anybody who earns vacation days would not get paid for their sick days over 90, they would lose them if they don't use them.
Mm-hmm.
That's what he's saying.
But the rationale is those folks who do earn vacation, at the end, they can cash in
When
for
you
they,
retire.
for they,
When you retire.
for their daily rate of
When
pay.
you retire, yes.
For daily rate of pay.
Isn't that limited to 60 days?
I'm not sure, Ms. Buffer.
30.
90. What'd you say?
30.
For vacation.
30 for vacation.
And we would need to adjust the floor because custodians and those get vacation. So we got some bus drivers that get vacation, we have custodians that get vacation, so that support staff on that, that they would need to be adjusted to.
So the policy that was approved on first reading, so we could change that for second reading.
So we're talking, the difference is those that draw vacation could draw their daily rate for 60 days, where those, for 30 days. And the others, we're gonna pay 60 bucks.
When you retire, so only a one-time thing. So when you retire, you can change those. So those folks who earn a vacation, they lose their days. Everybody loses their days. You get to carry over 90. If you have more than 90, you lose those if you don't take those. So you all were trying to help folks who were going to lose those days to pay them if they lost them. So the year you choose to retire, you can take your vacation days and add that to your retirement for one time. You can't do that every year. It's the one time. Did I answer your question? I apologize if I
The
didn't.
question is on the amendment.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, the question is on the amendment. Is there any further discussion?
The question is on the,
Please.
yes.
There's a difference in vacation and sick leave, and there's a different policy that deals with vacation. So if y'all want to not adopt GDC and GCC for sick leave and look at vacation, those are separate policies, because most people don't accrue vacation or are not entitled to it. And so the vacation part is not part of sick leave, which is a state law. So I just want to point that out, that those are you've got 4 separate policies. You have 2 for professional staff and 2 for support staff.
Madam Chair,
Just for legal funds.
So,
motion to postpone.
Yeah, that would take precedence over the amendment. So,
Yeah,
so
that-
you want to postpone the first reading?
That's correct.
Okay, so, motion to postpone to the next meeting?
That's correct.
Postpone to the next meeting.
Is there a second?
Is there a second?
I second.
Okay, it's been
Is there
second.
Any discussion on the
Any
motion to
discussion
postpone?
on that to postpone?
Yes, I would well, I can vote on that and it'll be postponed, but I would withdraw my motion to do that, but just to try to get those 4 policies in line so that they all, we know what we're trying to do, trying to pay people. My purpose for the vacation is, you're really getting 2 benefits. Although you have to wait for one, you're still getting that day over 90 each year, and then you get a second benefit. I think it'd be fair that one group gets one thing and one gets another.
Those in favor of postponing the first reading? to
Those
the
in
next
favor,
meeting?
those in favor of
Postponing to the next meeting?
postponing this reading to the next meeting. Raise your hand.
Those opposed?
Those opposed? So it's prop,
Motion is adopted.
the
and it's
motion is
postponed to the next
adopted.
meeting.
And
To
I don't
postpone
have
to the
to
next
withdraw
meeting.
my
And,
motion.
but wait a minute, you came up with 4, so you're saying that we're gonna postpone just policy DCQDA, and it
Correct.
has 4 policies in it.
In
Policy
adoption, it would
GCC.
have 4 policies because vacation and sick leave are separate, correct? So if we adopt this postponement, they'll just come back with information regarding the changes that would affect sick leave and the ones that would affect vacation.
Okay. I have to put that on there so I know.
Is that what you were requesting, Mr. Dukes?
I'm sorry.
Them giving us the information regarding
Yes,
sick leave?
just
Okay.
to align those 4
Right.
policies for the
Right.
professional staff, non-professional staff, and
Right.
sick versus vacation policies.
Okay, the next one is ARGCQDAR, re-employment of professional staff.
Yes, ma'am, Madam Chair. I recommend approval of the first reading of policy GCQDA, reemployment of professional staff. The district's current policy and administrative rule contain timelines for teacher contract notification that are no longer aligned with South Carolina's laws. SC Code 5925-410 and SC Code 5925-420. State law requires districts to notify teachers of their employment status on or before April 30th. However, the district's policy currently references April 15th, and the accompanying administrative rule includes related timelines tied to that date. The proposed revisions update both the policy and administrative rule to align with the statutory notification deadline and establish consistent timelines for issuing and accepting teacher contracts. In addition, the sentence in the policy stating, "In all cases, however, such a decision will be communicated to the board prior to May 1st," was revised to ensure alignment with both the state's required notification deadline and the district's timeline for issuing teacher contracts.
Looking for a motion.
Madam Chair, I make a motion that we accept policy GCQDA as presented.
Second,
Okay,
is there any discussion?
it's been a motion and seconded. Are there any discussion?
Discussion, those in favor say aye.
Those in favor, there being there's no discussion,
No.
those that
Voting.
say aye, raise your hand.
Those opposed?
Opposed, same,
Ayes have it.
ayes have it.
First reading is adopted.
What-
First reading is adopted.
First reading is adopted. Okay. C, out-of-district tuition.
Madam Chair, the Board of Trustees received information regarding out-of-district tuition in the materials distributed on Monday, February 23rd, and Friday, March 13th. As discussed during the February board meeting, a motion was approved to postpone consideration of this item until the March regular meeting.
So the motion, you don't need a motion, it's already on the table. So is there any discussion on the motion?
Any discussion on the motion?
I've said all along, I just soon as do away with it, not charge out of district tuition.
I agree.
What's the motion?
What is, yeah, I'm confused at what the motion is.
The motion was, out-of-district tuition.
Right, but
To
what are we,
eliminate out of district.
to eliminate?
Yes,
Okay, so I didn't hear that motion.
Yeah.
to eliminate out-of-district tuition.
Can I comment?
Go ahead.
Do we have a motion?
You made a motion.
Yeah,
Point
it's
of
con-
order, I
it's
have not
kind of-
heard, point of order, Madam Chair.
Mm-hmm.
I have not heard stated a motion.
the motion was made in the last, so it's coming back as a postponement. You're welcome, but it's not required to make the motion because it was made at the last meeting and postponed to this meeting. So but you can read the motion. If you want, to be clear, read the motion.
Yes, that's what I'm asking.
Okay, the motion was out-of-district tuition
Read the exact wording.
and the word for,
Maybe she can read the wording.
oh,
You'll have to pull it up out of the minutes.
pull it up out of the minutes.
Yeah, it's in here.
Madam Chair, if I'm in order, can we make a subsequent motion?
What do you mean by subsequent motion?
A substitute motion, so that we don't, as while we're looking, instead of doing all of that, I'd like to make the motion that we eliminate out of tuition, out of district tuition.
Here's the motion.
Okay. The motion is Ms. Hurd reviewed the Anderson School District 5. Motion was second by Price to eliminate out of the district tuition beginning with 26-27 school year.
Is it appropriate for discussion?
Yeah,
Are we at that
discussion.
point? I wish we wouldn't do this because I don't know how that improves the quality of the education for all the kids we have, and I don't have any constituents begging for a flood of folks to come in here. So I wish we wouldn't do it. I wish we'd leave it where it's at. There's unprecedented funding available if you qualify. I think it's 5 times the poverty level to get ESTF. So there are ways, especially for the underprivileged, that's probably not the right way to say that, to come in our district and still pay. I wish we wouldn't do this.
Madam Chair, I would agree with Mr. Thompson.
Sure.
I would, Ms. Hurd, would you remind us what out of district would be for this coming year?
About 95,000.
The price,
Yes.
About 95,000.
we typically bring it to you in June, but for the current year, it's $4,148.
Okay.
And we froze that several years ago.
Right.
We recalculate it every year, we share that with you guys. It would have gone up to over $5,000 if we haven't froze it, and we collect about $95,000 a year. So if you eliminate that, we'll have to take it out of it.
Right.
There's
So-
only about 23 or 4 that do it.
So, and I would rather cut that in half or look at another number, but going to 0 is, I don't know why we would do it. I'm a Anderson First board member. I want to take care of our people first. I know we haven't declining enrollment, but going to 0, I don't know if we're trying to attract folks to come in, but I don't want our students to lose seats. I don't think 0 is a good number to go to. I don't think that sends a good message. I think we have a high-quality program, and I've seen the other districts. I think District 3 has, as I recall from last week or last month, 40 or 50 people out of district tuition.
106.
Is it 106?
Mhm.
Okay. So they have programs that we don't have that might attract some folks, but for us to go to 0 and get those kind of numbers coming in, I'd rather reduce the amount in half instead of going to 0.
Madam Chair, I'd be in favor of reducing it to half or whatever we determine. My only concern is that we might be losing students to the Belton Academy, the Charter Academy. We're losing students. I'd be afraid that we're losing students because of the out of district tuition. So I would be in favor of maybe reducing it if that's what the board's pleasure is.
Well, I made that motion, and the reason why I made that motion is the number of students that we're losing annually. I don't know that we got a total number that were out of district in each school district, right? 100 and some odd in District 1. When we lose that many students, or when we get students, let's say we get students, we get their full equivalent. So we get just as much for that person coming in from District 1 as we do for that person that has lived here their whole life, okay? Why should we then impose more fees on those parents? What are we using it for? I mean, we need to treat everybody fairly. My suggestion was not forever. We review this on an annual basis. I suggest making it for 1 year, at 0, reviewing, see what negative effects, what positive effects it has had. Do it as a trial program to see if it accomplishes any of the goals that we're trying to accomplish. And at the end of next year, if we want to up it or do away with it permanently or whatever we want to do, we'll still have that option. We have that option every year. So my suggestion is trying that for a year at 0 to see if it helps to slow down the exit of students that we seem to be having to different districts and schools.
Madam Chair, one comment, and good point, Mr. Bradshaw. However, I don't want to experiment on classrooms. And I would rather see us lower teacher-pupil ratio and keep our classrooms smaller as opposed to trying to attract more people in. Because the losing enrollment is a statewide thing. I mean, there was an article that just came out, so I was concerned when I first saw our numbers going down, but I'm seeing that they're elsewhere. So, and we've got competition now. We've got the charter schools, the hybrid schools, the home schools. And I'd rather see us lower teacher-pupil ratio, and that could help us put a better product on the court, so to speak. You know, not that we don't have a good product, we do, but I think we had a great speaker, and she's still here, saying what Robert Anderson needs, support in the classroom, getting more students in from outside and going to.
Brings in more money.
Well,
it does. It brings in the exact same amount. If that child that left us was still sitting in that seat, it brings $14,000 or $18,000 more dollars to Robert Anderson every time we do that. You know, that money comes to the district.
Right.
So, you know, I'm not saying this has to be a permanent thing, but why can't we do it for a year?
Madam Chair, I'd just like to
Go
make a
ahead.
couple of comments, because I thought about this since our last meeting, and there's several subdivisions that even, I know one in particular is zoned for both 1 and 5, like Tuscany, out 81.
Split down the middle.
It's split down the middle. I know friends of mine, their kids are in 1 and go to 1, and as soon as we say, hey, you can come for us for free, they're coming. I mean, they're bringing their 3 kids for sure. As soon as you cross over the lake, like on Centerville Road, I used to live in Cahaley Cove, my kids went to 4. I wanted them to go to 5, but I live right across the lake, so if there's kids right across the lake that are closer to our district, we're gonna gain those. So I don't know. I like the idea of free, but I don't like the idea of free because I'm afraid we're gonna get an influx of kids that haven't come to this district because of the fee that are in other districts. And and most of them, I believe, are gonna be on the north side of town. Where I know our schools are losing numbers, but those schools, I mean, to Tripp's point, you know, we're trying to reduce class size, get the teachers' ratio up, and here we are bringing in more students. But then we have to pay them too. I mean, I know there's an issue with money. I mean, 95,000 is not a lot of money. But I know what you're saying too. Every student brings 14,000 plus with them. So I'm torn between this because my fear is we're going to get an influx of students in District 5 that are out of our district that would not pay the $4,148.
That's why we do it for 1 year.
Then, okay, we do it for 1 year. Let's say the students come, let's say we get 50 students. And then we say, oh, man, that's too many. We don't want to do that. So what happens, and they're 9th graders or 5th graders, what happens? Do they stay till they graduate because we let them come in 1 year, or do we? we say, well, sorry, next year we gotta charge you. So,
That is a good point.
so, I mean, we need to get the logistics. If we're gonna say zero and we're gonna say we're gonna try it for 1 year, I think we need to make sure we have an exit plan so the parents know, hey, listen, we're gonna try this for a year. If it doesn't work out, we're gonna charge you next year, or maybe your kid gets to finish the elementary level or the high school level that they attended. We just need something,
Yeah.
not just say, we're gonna try it for a year and
If I'm
Then
correct
major-
on this, District 3 did drop to zero tuition, out of district tuition. But they also reserved the right to slam the door shut when it got too full. But they've not changed out of district tuition, is my understanding.
yeah, I don't know.
So you still have that right to say no more. If it causes issues. I mean,
Is there a policy limiting when we get to a certain percentage that we're not gonna accept any out of this? Isn't there something in the policy?
There's that law that's 90-10, that you give yourself 10%, and that's for the next year, when we can do inter and intra-district.
That's right.
Any further discussion?
Any further discussion?
The motion is on,
Okay, the motion is on
eliminating out of district tuition.
eliminating out of district tuition.
Those in favor say aye.
Those in favor say aye, or raise a hand.
Do we want to, sorry,
Go ahead.
do we want to think through what we're proposing, instead of try to do it on the spur on the cuff? Do we want to think through, make sure we've got it correct and postpone it? And make sure we, instead of just rush it through, it's not gonna matter that much, but make sure we get it right.
I mean, there's no, it's not an urgent matter, right,
We would just need it for the budget.
for the budget.
I would
Well,
make-
that's till
We
April.
can always go conservative and take the 95,000 out of the budget and balance it, and if you guys decide not to go that route and cut it in half, we can always put it back.
Okay.
So from my standpoint, I can always take the 95 out like you are going to eliminate it, and then if we don't do that, we can add it.
So I would
If we-
make the substitute motion that we postpone
Right.
To the next meeting.
to the next meeting.
So,
Second.
Okay, so it's been second,
And we are going to,
postpone it.
we're gonna postpone it to the next meeting, and we're gonna discuss logistics or specifics in it.
Why don't we have staff, come up with the logistics for it
Okay,
Yeah,
and discuss it with that?
I think that's a good idea.
okay.
those in favor of the postponement say aye.
Those in favor of the postponement, raise your hands.
Opposed?
Those opposed, same thing.
Motion is adopted. It's postponed to the
Motion
next
is
meeting.
adopted, so we're opposing.
Postponed to the next meeting.
Postponed to the next meeting. Okay, executive session. Could I get,
Madam Chair, I make a motion we go into executive session for.
I have to call all this section
For
section 34-7.
Section 30-4-70A1, discussion of employment, appointment, compensation, promotion, demotion, discipline, or release of an employee or student regulated by a public body.
Personal
Personnel
recommendation.
recommendations, personnel discipline, personnel resignations, student discipline.
Second. So it's been,
Those in favor?
those in favor?
Those opposed?
Those opposed?